Good evening, everybody. It is officially 8:53 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time, and my friends, you are listening to and/or watching the Rantcast. I am your host, joined by your fellow host, StrangeBus, aka Josh. You can follow me there at twitch.tv/StrangeBus, along with Kurgan, also known as HeroQuest fans, and you can follow him at twitch.tv/HeroQuest fans. That is twitch.tv/HeroQuest fans. I think we're
Cast.
there. We go. First, I was like, "Oh, I hope I don't still have muted." Anyway, I hope everybody's
Ghosted.
Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday evening. At least over here, the weather's pretty decent, and we got a pretty decent show for you tonight. I'm home this time.
Okay.
I'm not out of a hotel room with crappy sound coming out of my laptop. So
He's lying. He's got like a CGI set that just looks like his home.
oh yeah, no, you got me. I've been had.
The guy comes to the door for room service with the pizza, and you're like, dang it,
Damn.
streaming. No, welcome home, buddy. I got my big hot cup of cocoa here.
Oh yeah, you're currently recovering, aren't you?
Yep,
From
recovering from a lot of really
disease.
bad Star Wars.
Here we go.
Yeah.
We're at it again.
Already
So it begins.
out of the gate. Episode 19.
So, as is, we're gonna start with the HeroQuest Power Hour. Usually, Power
Yes.
Hour being whatever that is, whether it be the Power 5 minutes or the Power 10 minutes or the Power half hour.
Well,
and then,
last time there wasn't much to say. I'll
yeah,
admit.
and then we've got a couple things. We're gonna talk about some Fortnite news, and then we've got the kind of the final thoughts of Ahsoka. I hope everybody can hear me right. My audio is calibrated, but I haven't had a chance to test it yet since I restored my PC. So
Yep,
um,
coming through.
then we've got the final thoughts on Ahsoka. I haven't watched it, but I did glance at some footage that was sent to me and some stuff that I scoured the YouTube land for. So I'm gonna kind of give my good and bad views on that, and then kind of, like always, we do our Star Wars banter, and then the game that I've been kind of playing throughout, like I was talking about, and I was kind of unprepared for last rantcast, and that was pretty much one of the my upcoming games of the year, or I guess DLCs of the year, would be Cyberpunk. So just kind of a breakdown for the Cyberpunk 2077 2.0 update. Now, I think last year I did a kind of a breakdown myself of their 1.0 update, and this one has been radically overhauled. So I might even do a stream of that tonight, because I think I'm almost at Phantom Liberty, which is the DLC. So, but without further
Tonight,
ado,
we are canceling the apocalypse. Oh, wrong movie.
So we'll go ahead and get started with the HeroQuest Power Hour. Now, I don't have anything pulled up for HeroQuest. Is there anything you need me to pull up there, Kurgan, so we have something to show on screen?
Yeah, does this clip need any setup? Exactly. So, there was a little tidbit from PulseCon, and it was funny because I want to say it was Verg that was wisecracking, like, listen, we're making something out of nothing here. We need to calm down. And he's right, but he's also wrong, because we're not going to calm down. Let me just find it again. So there was a clip. So if you watch if you go to the Hasbro Pulse YouTube channel, they have PulseCon 2023, and there is just like a very short, like little segment where this lady, and I forget her name, she does a lot of the stuff. she mentions the Avalon Hill fancy dice
Do you
from
have a
Gen
link
Con,
for
the
it
Dread.
by chance? Because there's a lot of content from
Yeah,
them.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, okay. Let me get because I posted about it on Yield In.
Wow, they are shelling a lot of stuff on here. Star Wars
Yeah.
related as well. Oof.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Buy
yeah,
your
it was in the.
new vintage collection action figure.
Well, they had this aesthetic where they were like in the background you'd see like 3D renders of like objects, and they would be like on sprues, because you think of sprues, you think of the nostalgia of breaking out your kit and getting your models together and all that fun stuff. Why can't I find it? um,
I didn't even know Chopper was a popular droid. Now he
you didn't know
is.
that? That's like all I knew about that show. They're like, Chopper, where's Chopper? Chopper, get to the
He was just a
chopper.
malfunctioning droid in Rebels. Is all he was. I
But
mean,
didn't you
granted.
love him? And your kids loved him too. So now you can
Whoa,
be the
there's the
proud
tagline,
owner.
right? Your kids loved him. He was the
Yeah,
favorite. You know.
that was
I,
one of the first Star Wars toy commercials. They played it right after the Star Wars Holiday Special, and it's like Anthony Daniels as C-3PO, and he's like, "Star Wars, your children loved it," And then he's got he's showing all the toys, and oh look, it's a radio controlled R2 unit. I wonder. It's good
that guy
stuff.
tries desperately to stand out. It's awful.
Yeah,
Come on,
I
we
like.
loved C-3PO when he was there was he had his reasons for standing in. Stop trying to make him the
Yeah,
main character for
he's like
everything.
the
He,
spoke. He was the pitchman. He was the spokesman for Star Wars for like
yeah,
all through the 80s.
and he had a book, didn't he? Like droids. There was a thing for like he doesn't need his own individual thing. Did you send me a link?
No, I'm still looking for it. This
Oh,
is this
okay.
is embarrassing.
Oh,
Yeah, because I
so
had it. Now I can't remember what I put it under.
yeah,
Ah, here it is.
it was always my
Court.
like thing to go to Celebration, and then now I have almost no interest. It's all young
Well,
people there now, like either super young people or like people way
younglings.
older than me, like way older than me,
See,
who
but
are
that's
just
it
trying to
brings
follow
the
the trend.
generations together. Brings the generations together in hatred of some once great franchise.
Hatred because
See,
I see all these people loving it. They're like yucking it up.
well, I we were talking earlier about my cynicism and
I,
endless
I feel like
negativity.
if you went there, you'd be the only person complaining about how you wasted a ticket.
I
You're
mean,
like, I got
believe it or
here.
not, I do enjoy Star Wars. It's just that yeah, I've just become so like I've insulated myself so much from disappointment. There's the image. Okay, so the original image is the dark one, and it's just like what is this crap in the background? But when you look at it closely and you brighten it up and you sharpen it up,
I have to. Okay, hold on.
it's like, oh wait a minute,
Is this what
this
I'm
is not.
showcasing? We're looking at here.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. Are
I
we
want that
trying to?
T-shirt.
Oh, see, I always forget. I always forget when it comes to HeroQuest, we're picking at details as far
Yes,
like what's
this
that
is what they
icon
do
on the
to us.
dude's desk? Like,
This is
is
the
it
this is the game they play with us. Yeah, because it's like they put stuff out purposely to tease us. So in the background there, what are those things on sprues? Well, if you look carefully, in the upper left corner, that's a goblin head, and to the right, that's an abomination, and below that, on the left, is the gargoyle, and then behind her, I believe, is the zombie. You're thinking like, oh, so what? Well, those are not models; those don't exist. Those images that you see, those are the icons that are on the quest map in the new HeroQuest. And it's like, okay, so why do they have physical representations of those? So people are speculating like, well, maybe this is like part of some like design kit, and you're going to have like little plastic tokens that you can move around. Or maybe it's not really a product at all. Maybe it's not, HeroQuest merch. That's what I'm thinking. It's HeroQuest merch. You can buy coasters or cup holders or something to hang on your wall. But maybe it's just something they made up just to decorate the background. But they made it so dark that you couldn't see it, so that we would sharpen it up and brighten it up to look at it and go, what is this? But people were pointing out throughout the other segments on PulseCon, I didn't watch the whole 3.5 hour show, but like they had like G.I. Joe sprues and Star Wars sprues in the background, and everything is on a sprue. So it might not even be anything. It might
I
just
was
be
about to say,
decoration.
man, I feel like being a HeroQuest fan would be not only intoxicating but very anxiety inducing. Like, oh God, what's on his cup? Is that a design that we don't know about
Yeah,
yet?
yeah.
Like you're
The
like you're
shadow.
like
If you turn the shadow upside down and you like enhance it, and oh man, that's like the first line of the next quest book. It's
Carmen's gonna
like,
get real creative one day. He's just gonna have like this like icon on like the handle of his cup, and people
yeah.
are gonna be like
Well,
picking. They're gonna watch the whole con. And they're gonna be like, oh,
yeah.
what's
So
that?
that second, split second.
Enhance
Well, it's just
8355.
I see it like it's like the Matrix code. You just see like those letters and numbers like drifting across the screen. It's like I don't even see that anymore. I just see blonde, brunette, redhead. It's
It's
like
like
what?
it's like in Blade Runner when he's trying to look at the TV and he's like,
It's like a picture. The thing is behind the camera, so it's like
yeah,
there's
he's
no
like
way it could have taken a picture. But he's able to like move around the corner. I mean, I don't
enhance.
know. Maybe future cameras are that good.
Yeah, he's like trying to
Yeah,
like he's like digitally enhancing it.
yeah.
Move 90
Like the reflection,
degrees.
the reflection in her eyeball shows the actual new product.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
enhance,
this is what we've
zoom.
been reduced. But that's how the Frozen Horror was revealed. They had it was a box on the shelf in the background while people were talking about other things. And then of course Doug Hopkins had to ruin it. He's like, "Well, I guess everybody will just have to chill until next year." Ha ha. And it's like, "Okay, it's the Frozen freaking Horror. It's coming out." So, yeah, it's like just in case they don't get it. Just really just so, yeah. But I mean, that was a weird expansion because by the time they had officially announced it, like saying the Frozen Horror is coming out officially on this date, like people had already done unboxing videos of it. So it's kind of weird. And I don't know. I mean, we've sort of been thinking about like what happens when you've got a good thing going, nice loyal fan base, nice good product, and then somebody at the top decides, I think I want to get my hands dirty and I want to start like creating stuff, and then they just ruin it and mess it all up. It's like, please let that day never come for this thing that I like. But
Here you go. I got it.
they just
HeroQuest fans right here.
yeah.
Hand right and pull back. Stop.
Yep. Sorry, trying not to
Hands
cough.
34 to 46.
Enhance. Yep,
Jesus Christ,
exactly what
it's
it is.
Jason Bourne.
Jesus, it's Jason Bourne.
Yeah, I was like, they're gonna put something in there that wasn't there originally to get you. It's like those old screamers. They're like, oh yeah, look at this video, and you're supposed to put your face like as close as you can to the screen and like turn the volume all the way up, and then it's like, and you're like, that son of a nah, don't do that. And then you got to send it to your friend and scare them too.
That's crazy. That's absolute pandemonium, though. Like, but it's amazing. It's
Yep.
just crazy how detailed and how much like how smart you guys are on finding that stuff, though. Even if
Well,
sometimes it's like easy, but like I would have never seen that. It's just like designs in the
and it
background,
makes
you know.
yeah, and it makes me think that okay, in the grand scheme of things, like this is how I see it. In the grand scheme of things, hey, Luca Rocks, it's like okay, you got GI Joe, you got Transformers, you got Star Wars, you got all this, Angry Birds and or whatever it is, Power Rangers, and then you got HeroQuest in this little tiny little corner, like barely there, and it's like maybe they just have a shoestring budget, and it's like they still are like okay, fine, we'll just be creative, and we'll get people's attention how we can, with our little moment. And sure, it's like, all right, we'll play along. Get the speculation going. Get the rumor mill churning.
I found it. I found the secret.
Yeah. It's all true. Everything you've heard about it is true.
Of course, everything. It's all true.
All of it. We're home, Chewie. Yeah.
Oh.
So they released a couple of updates to the companion app, and every time I'm checking for like Nightfall and Rogar's Hall and the new Night, and they're not there, and it's like, oh come on, like when are they going to add that stuff? But they just take their time, and again, I get the impression that it's not like some of these other projects where they've got a huge budget and they've got just tons of people working on it. I mean, yes, they've grown from like two guys to like a team of, I think they said like 14 or 15, maybe even up to 20 now at Gen Con, but it's like they've gone from a very, very small. So the company is giving them more, it seems like the company is giving them more and more resources to like carve out, this product that they're making and make little improvements and make these expansions. And it's like, well, how long is it going to last before, something bad happens? And so me being the pessimist, I'm always like, oh man, they didn't have the
Wow,
budget to get their own host, says Luca
that's
Rocks. Yeah,
crazy.
see, they need to get their celebrity. It's like we spent 1.2 million so we can get the celebrity to like talk about our stuff and go, yeah, this is dope. Like, all right, sure is, celebrity man, it sure is. Yeah, they borrowed the GI Joe lady. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Somebody is going to tell me like her name and her life story, and I'm sorry. I've seen her on like a couple of other things, but when I watch these, I just skip right to the Avalon Hill stuff. It's just what I do. So, but yeah,
He's
this was
not
right
fucking
after.
around.
If you're
You're not
looking, if
fucking
you're looking
around.
for it, yeah, if you're looking for it, it's right after the Wizards of the Coast segment, the D&D stuff. Yeah,
All
because
right.
first they showed the trailer and they showed like the Zargon symbol and the goblin. It's like, oh, HeroQuest is going to be front and center, and then the next trailer they had no mention of it. It's like, oh, okay, so what's it going to be?
This is D&D and GI Joe. Hasbro crosses their teams up.
Ah, yes, thank you, Luca Rocks. Yeah, so somebody knew more than me, but yeah, I mean, I was surprised, and I'm still surprised that they haven't publicly acknowledged Spirit Queen's Torment coming out. They barely said anything about Prophecy of Telor since that first. They showed the box cover, and then like they need to get Stephen Baker on there and have him talking about what improvements he's made since the Mythic tier, because that piece is coming out. But it's like this is a big deal. I mean, people still are trying to buy this Mythic tier stuff off of eBay for absurd prices, and it's like almost all of it, except Joe Manganiello's stuff, is coming to retail. So like, when are they going to talk about that? Okay, they're saving a surprise for what, next year? And then Against the Ogre Horde, we know it's coming out. You can't fool me. It really is coming out, and the question is just when and what's it going to be. And maybe Against the Ogre Horde is not far enough along that they can really say a lot about it. But even just a piece of concept art, a model, just one thing, something to get us talking. So Luca Rock says there'll be PAX and Essen too. Yes, that's a great point, and I was getting to that. So October, I was going to say Oktoberfest, but no, it's Essen, Spiel Essen in Germany, is going to be a big convention. And there's a couple of German YouTubers you should watch. One of them is Dungeon Master, and if he's going to be there, I mean, I'm sure he'll get the scoop. But yeah, we could see some of that stuff there, and it would make perfect sense because Stephen Baker's from the UK, and Against the Ogre Horde was the European pack that we never got in North America. So it'd be a great time to introduce that stuff. And then we've already seen the Guardian Knight, or not the Guardian Knight. Well, we already got that in Rise of the Dreadwind. We've already seen the Wandering Monk. So yes, they could show us more of the Wandering Monk, but we pretty much know everything about it, unless they decide to throw something extra in that little box. But yeah, Spirit Queen's Torment, Prophecy of Telor, and then Against the Ogre Horde. And then what's next? Because originally they said 2026, we've got plans. But then they were saying like 2029. So it's like each new
Damn.
release, they seem to sell enough that it's like, okay, well, we've got a few more years to crank stuff out. And I mean, if you go back and listen to those interviews, again, not to toot my own horn, because I'm sure there'll be more and even better interviews in the future, but Carmine was clearly saying the whole reason they did Rise of the Dread Moon is because they wanted to stop Halt, because they'd gotten all this fan feedback built up of like what people wanted to see in the game. And not only did they want to leave their mark on it and create something original, but also like take that feedback and put it out there. You know, people wanted to be able to have like shops in the middle of a quest and a little bit more RPG light stuff. Apparently people wanted more tokens. So they put all that in a pack and seems to be well received. And they're going to they have to know that there's demand for that other stuff, both the stuff people missed out on and the legacy stuff. But eventually they're going to run out of legacy stuff. I mean, there's Against the Ogre Horde and there's Wizards of Morkar, but those are like the last big ones. The other ones are like just small, like one-off things, like the Dave Morris quests or the Dark Company. I mean, the Dark Company is pretty long, but it doesn't really use a lot of new components, so it's harder to sell that in a big box, you know, unless it's just an add-on to the regular game system, you know, like a deluxe edition. So yeah, they're constantly thinking of like, what new stuff do we do? Because they might just run into a corner where they're like, we don't know what to do next, you know. And they could keep selling the old stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. Just promote it to more markets. I mean, I was looking up. I think the original HeroQuest was released in at least 14 languages. So that was another kind of sticking point on the HeroQuest, or not the HeroQuest fans Discord, but actually the Avalon Hill Discord. A lot of people were complaining, saying like, why can't I get it in, you know, my country's native language? Like I gotta order it from some other country and have it delivered. And the answer was, well, Hasbro has these headquarters in these different countries, and if they see a demand for it and the need for it, then they'll release it, because there's all this licensing crap, especially like the poor people in Quebec. You know, like the laws are so strict that like even the dice, they can't release the dice in Quebec, because I guess the label on the box has to be in French and English. Like, and I guess they don't want to justify like printing it out that way, and so those people are just out of luck. They just have to order it from somewhere else, have it shipped in.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
like I
crazy.
get it. I mean, just it's like, okay, well maybe, but the thing is like, okay, there's only 1,000 fans in this one country. It's like, okay, are you really going to go out of your way, spend millions of dollars to get those 1,000 people as your customers? Just like make them go on eBay. But if you establish a presence there, maybe it won't be just those 1,000 people. Maybe it'll be like millions of people, you know? But yes, you got to spend money to make money. So they got to do all the advertising budget. And they're, for lack of a better term, they're overlords at Hasbro. If they don't want to give them that money yet, then it's not going to happen.
Well, how much
So
would
it's not,
it cost just to get dice down there, though? Like, I mean,
it
it's one of those
wouldn't
things
seem
where
like much.
regulations are kind of like one of those big things where if you
Like
have a
they got to
small
build a
fan base,
factory and
then you
yeah.
could probably sell a limited run there. That's the big
Yeah,
thing
see
with
how it
like
goes.
with what I'd say like that Hasbro has a big thing is they're really sticklers for cash, but they own
Mm-hmm.
a fuck ton of license. They have a fuck ton of licenses and they make a fuck
They're
ton of
like,
money.
are they the biggest toy company in the world? If not, they're up there.
And like they really tend to like Kickstarter a lot of their fucking projects. So you gotta wonder. Hold on a second. Hold on. See if I can find
HasLab,
this
yeah.
out. Hold on. Before I bring this out
I'm
real
so
quick.
glad. I'm so glad that they didn't do every HeroQuest release as a fundraiser, though. I could just
Okay.
imagine, like, all of us would be
So
on here, like, bidding, trying to get the next one. Like, oh man, it's up to me. I've got to buy 10 copies. It's the
so
only way it's going to come
Hasbro's
out.
CEO, I believe, is Chris Cox, right?
Yep, yep. A lot of
Makes
people were
a
scared when he joined up, because they're like, oh no, because isn't he? I'm forgetting already. Is he the Magic the Gathering guy or the Wizards of the Coast guy?
I don't remember, but anyway,
He had some previous role, and people were like, "Oh no,
where I'm
there's going to
getting
be
at
drama." So
is
far, there hasn't been,
In his 1.58 years, yearly compensations 9.44 million is his yearly. Guy makes almost
So
10 million a year. 13.3% salary, 86.7% in bonuses, including company stock and options. Directly owns almost 1% of the company's shares, which are worth 7.75 million. This asshole makes way more money than anybody could ever offer to have
you
in
hear
their
that?
entire life.
We called your boss an asshole. What do you think? No, I mean this
I don't give a
guy
shit.
could turn around. He could pull an Elon Musk, and he could be just like, you know what? Quebec now has HeroQuest. Here you go.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. And like,
I'm just gonna reach in my
no
pocket
offense to
and
you, because
boom.
I don't represent the HeroQuest community directly, but I don't really think CEOs should be making that much money. They're the face of a big company, and yes, I think they should make a lot. They should make a decent amount of money, but like I said, a lot of that money could go towards funding something
R&D, yeah.
small. Like I said, literally, like PepsiCo. What was it? The LA Beast put in a petition for PepsiCo to remake Crystal Pepsi for a year, and after crowdfunding it for I don't know how long, not even putting in enough money. Like he just signed a bunch of petitions for a year. They put in their own money and put Crystal Pepsi out there. Wasn't popular. Wasn't even that huge of a thing back in the day. It was just a nostalgic thing.
Yeah,
And
people remember the hype. Like,
yeah,
what?
so
Pepsi, but it's
you
no
could
food
put a
coloring.
small shelf, do a limited run in Quebec.
Yeah.
Follow the
Yeah.
regulations. Spend, I don't know, it wouldn't even be in the millions, I doubt.
Yeah, you make a good point,
To run a
because then
couple hundred copies in Quebec, and you would be fine.
satisfy those. Yeah, you satisfy those people, and you're done. Or at least to such a huge demand, it's like, oh, I guess we got to build an extra factory over here, or we guess we're gonna have to have a little annex for the headquarters, and then
There's
get
there's
that money
shipping for
rolling in.
Quebec. You could have it flown over, or have it shipped
Yeah.
too. And that's
But
what
the
I'm saying is like,
goodwill you would build, like, wow, they really care about like fans from like all corners of the world.
it's the matter is Avon Hill going to ask Hasbro like, hey, we
And then
need this,
Hasbro's gonna be like,
this money, and then Hasbro would be like, yeah, no, you can go
no,
like fuck yourself, because that's a lot of money, and we don't want to give it to you just to
right.
fund like one area of Canada. Like, no.
And let me make one thing clear, like we're talking trash about the parent company, but the thing is, I don't feel loyalty to Hasbro. Like, I don't work for them. I didn't sign anything. I'm just a fan. But like, I like the Avalon Hill guys. I like what they're doing. I realize
I always
that
like how we
they
have this discussion.
yeah, we always do it.
You
It's always a
always have to
disclaimer.
step back and be
Because
like,
they're saying,
now look here.
now look here.
My,
Well,
my
thing is,
views are
like,
representative.
of or any of its affiliates. Yeah.
This guy over
Oh,
here.
yeah, I'm not with him. Oh man, that piano is gonna fall on that side of the screen and not the other. No, but the thing is, like, you know how harsh I am on Star Wars. Like, if it goes south, I'm gonna be the guy that's yelling the loudest about it. So far, so good. But yeah, they could do more. But I realize it's out of their hands. It's the bigger people, and I'm not using it as an excuse either to just say like, oh well, we want to do all this great stuff, but our boss said no. It's like, well, keep asking, keep trying.
As far as funding goes, I believe that budget gets allocated by Hasbro. So that's in
Yeah,
Hasbro's
I'm
hands,
sure.
right? Critical Role.
Oh,
See, and even here, Critical Role has
Wardicon,
giveaways
yeah.
every week. It's for Canada and the U.S., but they always say excluding Quebec. Yeah, and see, like I said, there's probably regulations and stuff there.
May not
But
be used by Wizard. May not be sold in Quebec.
But at the same time, I feel like I'm guessing it's a Hasbro decision. I'm going to say it's a Hasbro decision. If they feel like HeroQuest isn't big enough to be spread too far, because even you've said like a lot of people have to order it from another country anyway, and that's not just Quebec. That's it's Quebec or Quebec. I always forget how to pronounce it.
Depends on if you're
Quebec,
from there,
right?
Quebec.
But anyway, yeah,
if you're from there, I think that's how you say it.
I just had this talk with somebody when I was in Oklahoma, because there's a Canadian who's from there who's working with us. So and they just talked to me about it, and I was like, ah, I'm a horrible person. But anyway, the the big thing here is that I feel like it's one of those things where we're building a fan base, and in order to build a bigger fan base, it's a lot easier if your customers have access to the merchandise either locally
Mm-hmm.
or at least within the countryside.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, if we're talking about things that may be negatives or downsides there, like you said, goodwill would at least be
Mm-hmm.
to do a limited run. My biggest things about Hasbro is the fact that they crowdfund almost everything. I hate that shit. It's because they're a really big company, and granted, I think they should crowdfund things that they're unsure about, not everything.
Yeah.
But like if it's a really
Well,
big thing and they feel like it may not appeal to a lot of people, they could be like, "Hey, here's a project we're doing. Here's the goal that
yeah,
we have."
that's how they had to prove themselves. I mean, that was again according to those interviews.
They shouldn't
Patrick.
have to. They shouldn't have had to
Yeah,
for HeroQuest because HeroQuest hasn't. You
yeah.
can see it here. They have
But
enough
the
people.
people in charge just didn't believe it. So that was what they gave him. It's like, oh, well, try this thing, and if you get enough money, then we'll give you what you want.
And I bet you if I did like enough research, I could probably find out how much it probably would have taken to make. I don't know how much it would have made for a couple countries like countrywide copies to be here in the
Mm.
U.S. and Canada at least, and then if it was popular here, they could have tried like going. Where else was HeroQuest was popular in Japan and the UK, right?
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
was looking over at Yield In, and granted, a lot of the stuff on Yield In are fan translations. So that's the other thing. The fans are going to translate everything, but
But
it's
see
like, but we don't have
that I can
millions of
that
dollars.
see that
Yeah,
I
we
can
don't have
kind of
millions of dollars
understand
to it.
because
Yeah,
you cannot make a copy of a game
yeah.
like in
Every possible.
every
Yeah.
possible language,
There's
especially a board
Klingon,
game, because
Esperanto.
you have to
Yeah.
copy that language over and over. So if like you need one in I
Cards.
don't know Ukrainian, right?
Right.
It would have to be in
So
there'd have to be more than like a couple copies. You'd have to
yeah.
send in like a massive amount over there. So
So
I
Hispazargon's a good guy on this. I teasingly but also seriously call him my HeroQuest historian because he's really researched into this, like old advertisements from like every country. But yeah, so it was in English, Danish, German, Greek, Spanish in Spain, but not in Mexico. French in France,
not
Italy.
in Mexico.
Yeah, apparently in Mexico, people just bought the English version from America.
So where did people get the Spanish version?
In Spain.
Oh, just in Spain. Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
I may
so
have
it's like
like
they
I
could
was
have
like,
taken
wait,
this version from Spain and shipped it over to Mexico, but instead they just made people buy. So it's like it wasn't perfect.
that was me having like a
Yeah,
brain fart there for a minute because
that's
I
okay.
just heard
There's
not in
Italian.
Mexico and I was like, wait, what?
Well, I mean, yeah, the languages are pronounced differently, but I think in
Yeah.
writing it would be close enough.
No, yeah, and
Um,
that makes sense because it's
different
I get it
dialects.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So Japanese, um, Norwegian, oh, Portuguese, and Brazil. And interestingly, Brazil was the one where I don't think there was any plastic in the box. Like everything was cardboard. So like the miniatures were not Games Workshop miniatures. They were cardboard standees. I mean, I guess the art is still like, they would like take a painted miniature and then like draw like and then put it on cardboard, but like the furniture was cardboard. But that one, the Brazilian version, it was in Portuguese, used the North American rules. And I think that may have been the only other one that used the North American rules besides the United States. All the other versions were based on like the UK version because they had the first and second edition, except for the Japanese version, which was like its own thing. Like it used the same assets more or less, but it had like an original story. It had new geography. It had new artifacts, new rules. Like nine of the 14 quests were completely unique, and that's why it's so awesome. It's just like, dang, like what a treasure. It's like you found another chapter of Star Wars that you never knew existed. So let's see what else. Yeah, Norwegian, Swedish, Danish, Netherlands. What do they speak in the Netherlands? Why am I blanking on that? Don't they just speak German? I probably sound like an idiot. Okay, let's.
Never thought about
What
doing that.
language is spoken in the Netherlands?
Oh no, we look like smart people. All right, we're super smart.
Predominant language is
Dutch.
Dutch. Duh. Yeah. Okay. Why was I thinking? To me it sounds like German because I don't speak it. All right. Sorry.
At
I've
one
just
point in time,
offended like millions.
I knew
Millions.
that, but yeah, says
Yeah.
the local countryside people, the people who are like.
Well, it's like Brazil. You're like, what do they speak there? Brazilian. No, Portuguese. You know, Brazilian. American.
Yeah, like what language you speak? American. Like.
Damn right. Yeah, it's just this is the rant cast. This isn't the educated cast. Okay. Wordicon says I may have spelled it wrong, but I'm not Canadian. Luca Rock says they should be happy. Rise was a bit hard to get at first because of the demand. Hasbro, I mean. Well, and my dream is like all the countries and languages that had it back then should have it now, just for old time's sake. I mean, even if it's just one guy in a nursing home, it's like, hey, Grandpa, we got your HeroQuest. What? It's your HeroQuest. All right. Like, here you go. Like, what a moment, you know? It's great. But yes, I know they got to be thinking about the bottom line. They got to justify everything that they put through, every little they measure out the box and it's like how much plastic is actually going in there and how many pages is the thing going to be. And yeah, I'm sure they've got to justify every little bit of it and promote it. And it's like everything is necessary. You just can't have a lot of wasted space. So I get that part. And the whole localization thing, yeah, it's like people were saying, well, this is a way of just passing the buck. It's like, oh, well, Hasbro Canada didn't care enough, so it's just not going to happen. It's like, well, you guys talk to them, right? You're the same company. Just say, hey, listen, get your act together. Like, you're throwing away a fortune. Don't be a fool. You're leaving money on the table. Wardicon says, did either of you back League of Dungeoneers or check it out? Not trying to change the subject, just curious. Well, as a rule, I don't back these things. HeroQuest was an exception. I would have backed HeroScape, but it didn't make it. But otherwise, and I said to myself, well, if Space Crusade did it, maybe I would make an exception. But yeah, I don't back these things. Even OrcQuest that I wanted to support, I told myself no because I'm like, unless it's a retail product, I don't even want to do it.
And to answer your question as well, Watercon, I'm not huge on these. Kurgan got me into HeroQuest, and I'm into X-Wing, but that's
Yeah,
as far as my board game expertise goes. So I'm
yeah, we still got to do an on-site collab. I can see your
yeah.
Return to the Witch Lord in the background there. Heck yeah. Oh yeah, glorious. There it is. The new box and everything. Yeah, Adam Glick designed the new box with the little transparency, so you don't have to like use Magnum Force to like pull the figures out of those candy trays anymore.
Yeah, and then yeah, I'm still kind of getting used to certain other board games. Like I've got interest in some, but uh, as far as my entertainment value goes, I'm still Star Wars oriented. But
Video games. There's some decent Star Wars games. I mean, I have the Star Wars D6 game. I don't. Yeah, I've got the D20 as
that'll
well.
lead
I
us into
played.
our next subject eventually. Like,
Yeah, sooner or later, step by step, every breath we took, we were watching you. But yeah, I played Betrayal at House on the Hill, third edition,
oh yeah,
and
didn't you
that
get a
was
copy
fun.
of that
Yeah, they gave me a
signed?
copy. I wanted to buy it, and they were like, I don't know if they were messing with me, but it was just like at Gen Con, they were like, oh, it's sold out, like it's been sold out. And I was like, oh, and then
Oh,
Carmine's just like, here you go, and he just like slams it on the table, and it's like sealed in plastic, and I'm like, how much? He's like, what do you mean how much? Just take it. Like I was like, sweet. Are you trying to bribe a member of the press, sir? No, but I mean, I
Them
took
nice
it. Yeah,
guys, those Avalon
I
Hill
was like,
people.
listen. I was like, listen, because it was like $56 game. So it's like, okay, now I got to put the little sponsored link on any videos I make out of this. I was like, well, I might as well get everybody to sign it. And it's like, yeah, the guy that designed the game was not there, because this was like an older game that they just remade, basically with like new art, and they just redid like the components to make them like nicer, the figures and the cards and everything. And so, I just got the Avalon Hill people there to sign it and played it. I played it once, but I had a great time. So it's like, okay, I can kind of see what the hype is about. But at the same time, it's not HeroQuest. I mean, it's some games. I mean, like a lot of people talk about Talisman. I've never played Talisman, but Talisman apparently is one of those games where like it's a lot more luck based. I mean, you could say, okay, HeroQuest, you've got your dice rolls, but I mean, you can play a certain way and you can pretty much win, if you stick to that strategy, unless Zargon pulls a fast one on you.
That
But
darn Zargon.
like, yeah, it's always messing around. I mean, because Zargon has the power; he could make it impossible if he wanted to, or he could just give it away. But it's always walking that fine line. It's like, okay, well, you make it a challenge, and if they die, they die. But if they beat your challenges, well, fair enough. Well, betrayal is kind of like you're building the dungeon, so to speak. So you're laying out this random house, this random haunted house, and you're having these random encounters. And it's like each time you're getting like more and more scared, just like, oh man, this is gonna trigger the haunting. This is gonna trigger the haunting. What's it gonna be? And then it gets triggered, and then it's like, okay, what's gonna happen? Is one of us gonna be the traitor? And it's like, one of you is the traitor, like, oh, there we go. And then that person gets the monsters and is like trying to kill everybody else, and then everybody else has a goal, secret goal. Like, okay, if we can accomplish this before he murders everyone, we can win. So it's kind of an interesting way to do it, but it's like it's this random wandering around collecting clues and then suddenly a random battle, which could be over like in a couple of turns just because of where everybody is. Like when we played like um the good guys were like right by the room they had to be in to like exercise the spirits, and so it's like, oh, just hurry up and do it. Whereas like I'm the traitor over here trying to stab somebody to death. It's like, okay, well, just keep him busy for a second, don't die, and we'll just do this, and then we beat him. You know, so it's over quickly. But it was fun, and it was like a bite-sized adventure. You could go back and do it again. And I understand with Talisman, it's like it just surprise, 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 and then you had a good time, but maybe you weren't thinking like, oh, there was some really deep strategy I should have been following. It's like, nah, you just moving around and whatever else you do, turning over cards, rolling dice. I mean, it's still a social activity. You want the game to be a certain level of entertainment. But I mean, people have fun like playing craps. But of course, I guess there it's because you're gambling and maybe you're gonna get shot. Hopefully not. But makes it more interesting. But yeah, some of these games is just kind of like, well, how is this different than me just rolling dice and seeing who gets the highest roll? It's like, oh no, there's more to it. There's more discovery, and there's like a story that unfolds or whatever. And the appeal of the Star Wars games is that you're in the Star Wars universe and you're doing stuff that you saw in the movies, or maybe like, well, why didn't they do this? Like, why did Han and Luke do that when they could have done this other thing? And then what would have happened? You know. So I'd be down for playing that sometime. I mean, there's so many things I want to do with these games. I think if I played Cyberpunk the board game again though, I'd definitely play a simplified version because that game is so complicated, I feel like. And they did it that
Oh,
way on
it's
purpose.
fun.
Yeah, because it's like, I mean, with the video game, I'm sure it's great because it does all this stuff automatically. You don't have to calculate, okay, well, wait, what's the wind speed and how thick is the guy's armor and how much cover is there during this fight? And,
No, it
you know,
was implemented with that stuff in Mike. Because I think Mike, what's his name, Mike Pontius or something like that.
yeah, the
He stood while the game
creator.
was getting developed. Like he was
Mhm.
in while it was being developed. But that game was such a
And the
mess
advisor.
getting released that they had to read, like I said, and I'll get to that when we talk more about it. Um
The
but yeah, that it is kind of like a simplified version, much more simplified because it's more real time
Yeah,
than
but
anything else.
But from what I've seen, it's not like Baldur's Gate where it's like all of a sudden the game stops and you see the dice rolling and then it goes back to the game.
Yeah, no,
You know what I
because
mean?
Baldur's Game is more. It's more trying to follow the traditional,
Yeah.
even with like something like KOTOR. KOTOR was kind of like it had a lot of that dice rolling stuff in the background, but it was all
hmm
done like real, like not real time, but like in the back. So every time like you hit,
Yeah.
it was all based off your stats, and your stats were dice roll. So like
Yeah.
your character, if you didn't do your character properly, you were missing almost every attack. So
Yeah.
it was like one of those things where that's about as close as I could get to something that was like super simplified,
hmm
kind of Dungeons and
But
Dragons
but
esque
it's
pen and
but it's
paper.
interesting how Baldur's Gate does it because it's kind of like it's not like it's not just an automated version of the board game, but it is acknowledging the physical game that you could be playing. And so it's kind of like promoting itself, and it's also like retaining some of that nostalgia because yeah, you're like, oh man, I got my D20, and oh come on, you got to roll and say, oh, I didn't get it. And it's like you've got that in the game, but they could just be like, oh yeah, you succeeded, or
I mean, yeah,
whatever.
it's still turn based, but like with that
hmm
game, you could have a character that's super overpowered and has a bunch of bonuses stacked on. Like I said, I'm at the point to where,
Yeah.
um, like I don't need somebody else to lockpick for me. I've got bonuses stacked where I can, as long as the lock isn't overly hard, I can lockpick myself. Or I've got characters that offer additive bonuses like guidance and stuff like that, and it has a couple of things that you wouldn't usually do in like a D&D based game, at least none that I've played. Now maybe in current versions you might have it, but uh that, and there's a lot of like kind of exceptions to the rule that they'll add. But yeah, besides that, it does, like you said, it does acknowledge that
hmm
it's
People are
baseline
still
is pen and paper. Yeah.
hardcore. Yeah, people are still hardcore into Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder and all those other games.
hmm
It's not like, well, I like the game, but I really just want the video game to do it for me. It's like they still like the game. It's
I
like,
kind of like both options. Like doing, like I said, Baldur's
mhm,
Gate 3 is fun. It's fun because mostly it's not just the pen and paper aspect that gets me. It's the complete randomness of the game. I still
mhm.
haven't completed it yet because I wanted to get to Cyberpunk. So I'm like at the end part. But like the big thing about it is the
I
fact
sent
that
you a clip.
you can play. What's this?
Oh, I sent you a little clip. So actually, Jacer sent this to me on, I think it was the same clip on HeroQuest fans Discord because we were talking about wrestling moves, how much fun we have like inserting wrestling moves
The
randomly
highest
into
damage move in
HeroQuest.
Baldur's Gate 3 has just been
And it was
discovered.
like, oh, how do you
Enough
do the
damage to take
strongest
down just about
damage?
anything with one hit. The
So people
secret
are
is to
taking
first
this
get an
big
owlbear
creature and
high
like
up above
just
your enemy.
stacking
You can
stuff
use the
up
crate
and then
stacking
having him
technique to
like
get some height
jump
for these.
off of,
Then cast
like, like
Enlarge
he's
on this big guy
Macho
to make
Man
him
jumping
even
off the
bigger.
top rope,
Then with
or
Crushing Flight, a
Superfly
move
Jimmy
that's
Snuka
immune to
jumping
fall.
off the cage. Yeah, click that. Yeah, it's the darn YouTube shorts. I hate them, but the content is great because it's just like
Wow.
it's the wrestling move. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about, is how
it's
random and
fun.
creative you can get. I wouldn't have even thought of something like that. But yeah, you can
Yeah,
stack stuff like it's like way up top. You could think of things
Mhm.
like where you can like I said, you could get to absurd parts of the map just by
yeah.
getting creative. You can, yeah, it's crazy.
With
Um
Magic, I mean, it's like if they put it in there, yeah, it's like the sandbox, like messing around, like GTA type stuff that you can
mhm.
do. It's
And
like, oh, they thought of that and they let you do it.
I'm not that crazy, but like if I did take my time, probably thought about it, I probably could. But it's one of those things where I'm just not like that
Yeah, I try it once.
nuts. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, and like I said, I prefer both types. Where, like I said, Cyberpunk's more like everything's in the background, so your crits and everything are done
Mm.
via, it's
Or
all
oh,
randomized.
I thought of a good example, Rebellion. Like you can play the Rebellion computer game or you can play the physical game.
I mean, yeah,
But
but they're both the
there's
same
a lot of
examples, man. One does everything
yeah,
randomly through the computer. The other's done through a regular,
mm,
either regular dice
yeah.
roll or pen and
You
paper.
got your big huge table and your big expensive game, and you get all your friends around and play it. Yeah.
Indeed,
I mean,
indeed.
I've enjoyed playing HeroQuest through the tabletop simulator, and once I knew what I was doing, and I enjoyed using the companion app. But I mean, still, there's versatility in the board game that you don't get in those. So there's still reasons to do it. Or if you're just like, well, I'd rather spend $20 rather than $100, whatever it is now, $98. There've been some pretty good deals. See, I sound like I'm shilling stuff. It's like I'm not a sponsored video. Audio Jungle. All right.
Oh yeah, and the
Okay.
big thing
Well,
was you're spawning
next
that
up.
owl bear, and then you're casting enlarge on it while you're spawning it up
Yeah.
there. So that
So
enhances the damage even more.
big monster. Add elevation. Add absurd amounts of elevation. Got him.
Got him.
Ha! Got him. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I've been enjoying the weekend streams. I've had a couple people ask me about Space Crusade. I'm like, oh man, I need to like quit my job and stream 7 days a week so I can just
Oh
like
yes,
play every game and not
I
make any money.
can turn my mic up. Hold on.
Oh yeah.
Adjust my
See, I
mic.
had this problem on my streams. I was like talking really quiet, and then Carnival or Jacer would be like blowing me away.
Let me check something here. This
Makes me
this
think.
better? Oh, that might be a little too loud. I'm gonna turn the gain up a little bit. Might
Gains.
be a little better. I won't be too loud because then I like blow out my mic. But
Yeah, makes me
if
think
not, I
of
can just turn myself up. But
Men in Black. It's like what's wrong with your face? Is this better? Like
is that better? If not, I'll just turn myself up on the mixer. But I'm gonna try using the gain a little bit.
So yeah. So next topic. I mean, I've said all I care to say for the moment about HeroQuest. I'm optimistic, but I'm also kind of like, come on, guys. Like, where's the big scoop? Like, it's coming.
All right.
Maybe next month.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Next, way better.
Way better.
Oh, awesome. I like if I'm in the yellow, then everybody can hear me. That's great. It's wonderful.
Thanks. Now, for some reason, like all
Yeah,
your
no problem, man.
arguments seem like so much more convincing because they're so much louder. It's like, what did you say?
Screaming into the mic. Right. So I'm gonna kind of like blow myself up in brightness a little bit because of the. We'll move on to our next topic here, which you're gonna see Fortnite refunds from the Federal Trade Commission.
Dark
Boom.
patterns.
Yeah. So kind of a couple things on this one, but I'll go ahead and read it out here first. So yeah, if you were a Fortnite gamer in the U.S. who's charged for unwanted purchases, you can apply for a refund at this place here. Deadline's January of 2024. The settlement, I'll give a brief description. Epic Games agreed to pay $245 million, settle FTC allegations related to in-game purchases. Company charged parents and gamers of all ages for unwanted items and locked the accounts of customers who disputed wrongful charges to the credit card companies. So pretty much people who were eligible for this were people who didn't want certain items between January 2017 and September of 2022. If your child made charges to the credit card between January 2017 and November 2018, it's kind of weird, or your account was locked between January 2017 and September 2022. If you complained to your credit card company about wrongful charges. So I've kind of dug around. I've asked a couple questions because I think, Kurgan, you pulled this one up and did some short digging.
Yeah, all the mainstream news outlets are reporting on it. And I was just like, what? I mean, I remember, we've heard about this sort of stuff for years. Like, people complain about microtransactions. Oh, my kid, took the phone and he was playing a little game, and all of a sudden I got all these stupid charges on my credit card. We can't have nice things. And I checked, and actually there was a similar case in 2014 with Apple. Almost the same thing. You know,
Yeah.
kids making in-app purchases, and then the company being blamed to say, "Oh, it was deceptive." But I mean, it's like you're a kid. Like you don't read the license agreement, and you don't know your mom's credit card is hooked up, or you don't understand what money is, or you don't understand how pissed your parents are going to be after you downloaded a bunch of skins, or played a little free game, not realizing that every apple you collect is like 5 cents or whatever.
So,
But yeah,
in,
Fortnite is such a big game, and this is such a
yeah,
big. I mean, Epic.
in
Yeah,
my personal view of it, most things that you buy on Fortnite are pretty intentional. So, it's pretty blunt and pretty upfront that what you're getting, any costumes or cosmetics or whatever the hell that you get are it's pretty out there that they cost money or whatever the fuck currency they have. Um, and that you have to add that currency via an Epic account, like an
so it's
in-game
not real
wallet.
money. Yes, it
No,
is. It's
yeah.
like back when Xbox had Microsoft points. Oh, I'm not spending money. I'm just spending
Well,
Microsoft
it
points.
literally takes you
Like
to your account information via credit card, stuff like that. Makes you verify all that stuff. So
that's a little more transparent than
yeah,
just yeah.
but the thing that they're offering here, and I didn't quite check that out, was the child accessing your account
Yeah,
thing between 2017 and 18. That was around Fortnite's
gambling for kids.
original release, um, which
Mhm.
would have probably been like somebody saying that that was along the time when a lot of that stuff was kind of getting big.
Well,
Um,
because Fortnite didn't start out as the game it is now. Like it was its own. It was a I was gonna say FPS. It was a third-person shooter, but
it's
the whole
been the
like
same
making it like
premise.
because PUBG was like such a big game, and so they had their battle royal to be more like PUBG, and
Yeah,
then they really exploded.
but they had like the only difference between them and Fortnite was they had a building thing, and then they took a lot of that
Yeah,
off. You could still do the same mode, but they just changed
but
the modes, man. The skins and
isn't
stuff
it?
have always been a thing.
But isn't it that the game is free, but you've got all the in-app purchases and subscriptions to like keep you going? Isn't that
So
the deal?
when it first came out, I think it was really just skins, and they did a box thing. What I'm saying is like Epic has not had the Epic Game Store has not been around back then. It wasn't around back then. I think
Yeah.
they still had to have an Epic account.
Oh
And
man,
what I'm
I'm
saying
still
is
pissed at
how
him for taking Unreal
is
Tournament offline.
is
Anyway,
how they
TheRantCast.
had how they probably like showed up with like because you still have to verify that you're buying something, right? Back then they probably did it in a more less transparent way. So
Yeah,
what I'm saying is like
dark
the
patterns they call
eligibility changed for your child using your in-game cash or buying stuff using your credit card between this year and this year, which was Fortnite's original release 2017 to 2018, was like its first year of being out. So I'm guessing is what happened is all they had to do was click a button and like hit OK, and it didn't verify that your card was on file or something like that. They must have skipped something.
Yeah, and then
And
at the end of the month, you get your credit card statement, and
yeah,
it's
and you
like,
just
oh
bought a
shoot,
whole bunch of fucking Fortnite skins. Now,
yeah,
uh, now they probably have a different platform, especially now with the Epic Game Store. It has
they
to go
ribbed.
through all that crap. So as far as the other side of that coin, I don't know what they mean by unwanted items, because most of the time that I've ever been on Fortnite for any reason, it was um most of the items that you're getting are stuff that you're choosing to buy. So
Well,
unless like you're
I
you're
can.
getting something like that
I've
you assume is
I've
free.
I've never played Fortnite. And I'm an old geezer, but I've definitely played my share of games that have DLC. Not so much microtransactions because I kind of I like refuse to play those types of games. But I guess I Team Fortress 2. Like okay, I played that, but it's like you get an item and they always say like all sales are final. Like here's what it is. It's a sombrero with a Tommy gun built into it. Okay, that sounds cool. You download it. They charge you $1 and then you're like, that sucks. Like, that's not as fun as I thought it would be. Like, is that what they mean? Or they mean like you thought you were getting one thing and you got something else? You know, a typical like dispute. Like, okay, I wanted to buy this movie and they sent me the wrong one, or they sent me 2 copies and I only wanted
Okay, but
one
we're
of them.
talking about a Federal Trade Commission violation, right?
Yeah.
This isn't like
Yeah.
I bought
Deceptive
a game
practices.
from GameStop and it wasn't the game that I got. You know, most of Fortnite is like it's just
crap game.
cosmetics, right? So it's like
so I
you
got
get
a skin. You see what the skin looks like, and you get it.
I bought a Pikachu skin, and I verified with my credit card that I got this Pikachu skin, and they gave me the Fortnite bucks or whatever. I can't remember. They're like V-Bucks or something.
Yeah.
And I bought it, and I don't like it, and that's what I'm thinking is like I don't like it.
I put the Pikachu skin on, and I ran out into the game and the server, and everybody laughed at me and made fun of me and said, "Ha ha, that's a stupid skin. You look like an idiot."
Or what I'm also thinking it might be is because I've never seen this in my time in Fortnite, and that's been recently, and because most of the time they're talking about the FCC years they're talking about are between Fortnite's release in 2022, so that was before I even hopped on, are like times when they'll offer something, but they won't tell you. They might not tell you that it costs something, or they might put it in like a hidden message, or like so you'll click X to redeem it, and it will just charge you with the card on file, and like I said, it's hidden.
You don't feel like you actually bought something,
but you were
like,
duped.
oh, I just clicked a button.
So
yeah, they call it dark patterns. It's the way they like trick you into or seduce you into.
And a lot of places will do that.
Are you sure you want to unsubscribe? You're gonna miss out on all these deals.
They'll put the ad up in the front, like, "Hey, this is something we got," and it'll say like redeem or go there, and you'll click X to go there. You'll click something to go there, and then it will say, "Okay, you got it," and then all of a sudden you get a charge.
Looking at it.
So, and there's like I said, there's somewhere in their disclosure or whatever saying that's what happens. It's like with it's like with those subscription
a little
messages.
kid doesn't know that. A little kid doesn't know that.
Right, but they don't care. And that's the thing is like, according to a legal standpoint, if your kid's behind the controller doing that, they should be understanding that your parents should be informing them, and that's what's gotten
your
them
responsibility.
Through and it's your responsibility. Yeah. So the big
you
thing
gave the kid the thing and you let them press the buttons. It's your damn fault.
And like I said, it's been the same thing with FIFA and NBA now. Literally, man, it's all over the place. If you have that's why I don't keep my wallet anywhere on that stuff. Is if
lock your stuff
your
down.
Kid gets a hold of that stuff, because I don't have the brain power to remember all my parental controls. I just don't save my cards on anywhere.
Yeah. And if I were a kid and now and I had access to this stuff, like, my parents would be sitting me down and being like, "Listen, you just charged $50 to the credit card playing the stupid game. Guess what? No more game."
Yeah, and my credit card isn't physical.
I didn't know that. I didn't know how that worked. It's like, well, now you know, and now you don't. Now we can't have nice things.
My kids will never get a hold of my credit card because, like I said, my credit card isn't physical and it's behind my bank app, which is encrypted. So it will never be latched onto anything. I actually have to call the bank to activate it every time I want to use it. Which, once again, these are steps people don't want to take, but it's steps that keep you from shit like this.
I want the convenience. I want my credit card saved on file so I can just click one click to buy. It's like, don't do it.
So, like I said, with video games, I'm okay taking the 5 minutes it takes to put in my information and buy what I need to buy. So.
Well, and it's not pay to win, but I can imagine if it is one of those pay to win games, and you're like, oh man, I gotta get the thing so that I can, and like I gotta have my credit card on file so there's no interruption.
Horror
it's
stories.
Like the gambling addiction.
Hold on.
Coming through. Yeah.
But
see, anymore, if I hear about like a big name game, even a game that I'm interested in playing, and I know it's overrun with microtransactions, I'm just like, fine, I'll play something else.
Here's one for you. And this was like, I don't know when this was. This was 2019, right? And this was around this time this shit was getting really big. This was another example from FIFA, and this was around the time EA was
FIFA,
getting
yep.
slammed with stuff like this. But
EA Sports.
in a BBC's report,
Game.
Tom Watson called for tighter regulation in gaming, saying there would be considerable fears that gaming's a gateway to gambling, right? So they said that a kid spent £3,160 in one game. I have a 22-year-old disabled son who has cerebral palsy, complex epilepsy, autism, learning disabilities, and approximate cognitive ability of a 7-year-old child. He's unable to do any bilateral activities, so he relies heavily on his iPad and PlayStation for entertainment and educational activities. He was recently playing his game on his iPad, which involves finding various items. He has been charged. Wait, what? He was charged $3,160.58 between 18th of February and 30th of May, clearing out his entire savings.
Dang.
He contacted iTunes, who was extremely helpful, but were unable to refund the amount suggested. He contacted Blastworks Limited. I guess this wasn't an EA thing. This was an iPad thing, so my bad. But the app developer, I'm guessing it might lead into. Oh yeah, okay. This was a list of examples. So one of them was FIFA.
EA is still shady, but
we're unable to refund the amount. He contacted the company game provider. Apple users in the EU can request to cancel an order within 14 days of purchase. I've phoned and emailed several times, but they got no response. It's extremely distressing that vulnerable people such as my son become victims of what is thought to be an educational game. I've tried tirelessly to recoup his life savings, but constantly come up against a brick wall. And it's the same thing. 16-year-old son spent £2,000 on EA's NBA basketball game.
Dang.
He used my bank card until I didn't realize I had a payment declined. He accessed the app via Google Play, which is that you just touch the thing via your phone. EA made no response, and Google Play has a disclaimer about kids using parents' bank details without permission. So they have warnings to protect themselves. Daughter had to use her university savings to pay the bill for this, and it's caused huge damage to the family. I have 996 skins in Fortnite. Holy shit, man! I thought I had a lot.
52.
Yeah, but like I said, you spend responsibly, right? There are times you get a little carried away, but like I said, if you have it up here, like you know what you're doing. Some people like I said, that's not even gambling. That's just compulsive, right? Yeah. It's something where like you get tempted. Like I said, they had Resident Evil skins. I was like, oh shit, do I have enough money? Like I looked in, I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and buy a little bit. And like sometimes they're like $30. They're expensive. They're not like cheap cosmetics. If you want to buy like 3 skins, they're like $30 to buy everything. So
that's like another game.
Yeah, and like I said, I've gotten a little irresponsible myself. But like when you've got like 3 people who want to just chill with you,
but you're a grown up. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm an adult.
You're deciding like, I want to,
addiction.
You're Michael Jordan. You want to go to the casino and blow $2 million on a card game? Sure.
But
and you're going to be fine afterwards. But yeah, you got somebody with disabilities, doesn't quite know what they're doing. You got a kid, and it's like, the parents have to be like, they have to understand how the whole system works, and they have to lock all their stuff down.
This is coming from,
and the company's going to go, we'll just market it to the kids, and who cares?
Well, this is coming from a system that, coming from a guy who has been in the casino industry and stuff like that. This is a system that is heavily unregulated in multiple countries that have too much shit on their plate, run by older people who have no experience with technology whatsoever. Because for some reason like I said, that's a political front I don't want to get to on the Rantcast, but like I feel like we have people who are way too uneducated to regulate shit like this, and it's one of those things where you can have EA in court saying surprise mechanics, and people are like, oh, okay. I mean, but at the same time, you also have you also have it marketed to not just kids, because if we say that, then they're going to say, well, no, it's marketed to everybody, and your parents should be more responsible. Because at the end of the day, that is something that can be said, is that it is up to the parents at half point that we need to be able to regulate that for our children. On the other hand, I definitely think that gambling should not be marketed this way. I personally have an opinion that we shouldn't be putting loot boxes anywhere on technology, because it doesn't matter if you're a child or not. There are people who are compulsive, and it is an addiction. It is a disease where people who are trying to get better have that stuff accessed to them, and that's almost worse than an actual drug, because there's almost no getting out of it. We are surrounded by shit like that everywhere.
Mental compulsion, yeah.
So you'd have to stop using your phone. You'd have to stop using your tablet. Almost your TV now, and it's one of those things where people have that ability.
And it's not just I can hear people on the other side saying, well, why should we take away something that a lot of people enjoy and make a good living on just because a few people can't handle it? But it's that those people are out there, and you're still marketing it to them,
but nobody
knowing that they're
truly
going to get sucked
enjoys
up
it.
and say,
they're time wasters. A lot of the phone apps and stuff they're time wasters. I want one person in chat, or anybody who were to watch this on the VOD, tell me if they truly enjoy Clash of Clans over any major video game that they've played in their life. Because I tell you, there are better apps out there. They have the original Sonic. There's emulation. There's KOTOR on your phone. They're all games that have a one-time purchase, and you can buy them and play them over and over again. You do not need to have that fucking Sims game on your phone that requires you to pay to get extra time or some shit like that.
And at least in the old arcade games, you knew what you were getting. You put a quarter in, you play for a while, and then game over.
Yeah, and like I said, they're kind of getting away from that because they have loot boxes now, right? So it's if you want a better looking character, here you go.
There were a couple arcade games back in the day that were ahead of their time. So, and I love these. Well, one of them, Ivan Iron Man Stewart's Super Off Road. In that game, it's just plain old racing game. It's fun. You get upgrades as you win races. But guess what? You can put in extra quarters, so you can get better shocks, better engine, better nitros. So the rich kid could put in $8, and he would have a fully tricked out car right at the start. And it's oh man, that's the kind of thing we're talking about. So it wasn't every arcade game, but there was a few that did it. The other one that did it, and this game sucks, is Double Dragon 3. Sorry for anybody who likes Double Dragon 3, but that one, it was you started out with only a few of your martial arts moves, but you go into the shop and then you would buy the rest of them with quarters. So you'd have to put in I want the hurricane kick, got to put in another quarter. And it's if you died, you lost it all, and so you'd have to do it again. But most games, it wasn't like that.
Here's another big one. I installed Mini Golf King on my phone for my son, who was 5. He knows he's not allowed to spend money on games, yet this game successfully tricked him into spending £300 on in-app purchases. Now, hold on, because he's 5 years old, right? We could still say, you never know. Fortunately, my card issuer blocked some of the transactions, but a purchase for £75 went through, along with a few smaller ones. When my son realized he spent real money, he was completely inconsolable, saying he was sorry for being naughty and they thought they were pretend coins. My refund request via Google Play was automatically rejected. I explained that my son is autistic and his disability makes him vulnerable. He wouldn't necessarily understand why people who make games want money. Google said I should contact Mini Golf King, which said it did not generally refund in-app purchases once the purchase items had been used. I'd offered to delete the account, submit a refund case to the store from which the purchases had been made, but said this would be non-reversible. I have heard nothing since. People said that he should be supervising him, and he was. He said he said he was in the room. but here's the kicker: is the game is rated PEGI 3, suitable for players aged 3 and above.
Whoa.
And it was a children's title.
Yikes.
So, I think they've done a little bit since 2019 on stuff like that. Like I said, with Amazon games, it's a law that children are not
Like,
allowed to do stuff
like
like that anymore.
here, kids, you can buy this crack cocaine. You know, you can look at it. You can like kind of, you know, it looks cool. We don't want you to actually smoke it. It's like, oh, you smoked it. Wow, that's your fault. Your
Mhm.
parents should have stopped you. It's like, okay, it's not that extreme, but I mean, it's like, dang.
Yeah, and like I said, that was a big one. And speaking of Fortnite, last one here is when he was 15, my boy spent almost £1,000 on Fortnite. The issue was it was small cumulative amounts that didn't seem significant until you add them up over 8 months. He doesn't have Fortnite anymore, and my car will be clean for the next 15 years.
That's great. Yeah, the British pound is pretty close to the U.S. dollar. I think it's just a little bit. Right now, the rate of exchange is one British pound to $1.22. But yeah, it fluctuates.
Yeah,
That
so
is a kind of funny anecdote for the next
yeah,
15 years.
and like I said, it's one of those things where I think they've gotten a little bit better at stuff like this. But the big thing is that microtransactions for smaller games and stuff they've still been a big issue. Um,
Yeah,
to the point
I guess.
like I said,
I
my daughter's games,
yeah.
anything
hmm
by I think it's called like Bungie or something like that. There's a not Bungie for Halo or anything, but like there's a company that does games like for like Miraculous. It's like a kid show, or Bluey. Anything that's by that company that makes those games, because they lock everything. You have to pay for it. You have to subscribe. It's a subscription, right? Anything for those, they refuse to unlock it for children. So you have to put it. They don't put it on the children's tablets. You have to install it on an adult tablet, and you have to accept the EULA,
Yeah.
and it's like a small purchase subscription, so you're not racking up charges. So they've done that, but they want to make the money. So it's one of those things where it is greedy in a way, but they're smart about it because all of their apps require subscriptions. So it's not a one-time purchase. Like if your kid wants 3 of those apps, they're all $7 a month.
Wow.
So
Well,
yeah, it's bad.
I mean, it's still like I can look at it and go, "Wow, that's a waste of money. You're a fool for like buying that." But at least, yeah, if you know what you're getting into versus just, "Oh yeah, we'll market it to kids, they'll get it, and then oh, it's not our problem, and we won't
Yeah.
give you a refund."
So it's
It's
gotten
like
better since then.
our product sucks so hard that we can only sell it to people that don't know that they're even buying a product. It's like,
But
how sad is that? Like,
at the end of the day,
and have pride in your work.
yeah, at
Yeah,
the end of the
it
day, it
makes me
still needs
mad
to
the more I
stop.
think about it.
And
Yeah,
it's like I said, it's gotten better since 2019 with those articles. Those articles are just kind of like examples of how bad it really used to be.
yeah, it's been
Because
around. Yeah, it's been around because really before what was the iPhone was what 2005, 2006,
2007, and it was not
2007.
around during
Okay,
the early times of the iPhone when I used to develop on it back in Objective C, when I was doing coding for then. A lot of the apps were pretty simple because we were
yeah,
introducing 3D
I play
applications on a
calculator.
phone, and it
hmm
was awesome. And like people were really excited, so they were trying to put like I think they had Resident Evil 4 mobile that was moving to like iPhone, and like it was like a very dumbed down version, but it was really cool. And then you had like small 3D applications and most like 2D games on the iPhone 3GS, and I think it's when you got to the iPhone 4s when they started doing like true 3D applications because you had the A4 processor. So you started getting into better stuff, and they started doing games like that around the time that Farmville got popular. Farmville
Oh
was
yeah,
the big one.
Farmville. I remember
So
Bejeweled. Well, I guess that was a Facebook game. Never mind. Yeah,
yeah, so
Farmville. And hey, there's Diablo 3.
well, you guys don't have phones,
Too soon.
so it's one of those things where I'm yeah, I wasn't too excited for
Yeah.
shit like that, but they have gotten better with it, and a lot of the phone games have kind of dumbed down or gone into different directions, or they've released full games one-time purchase sort of deal, or episodic games. So, yeah, for real, man. And the biggest thing is people are actually playing that game. Like, for real.
Yeah.
Like, playing that game to its fullest extent, which is fucking crazy. Like, I am surprised that Blizzard made a turnaround with Diablo 4 and that fucking bullshit. Like, it's absolutely absurd. That's a whole nother rantcast, because I could talk about how shitty Blizzard is as a company and how I absolutely regret buying Diablo because it was, or being gifted Diablo. Excuse me.
You know what we should do?
To waste gift money on that game was a fucking mistake.
The first snow, or the first actual blizzard of the year in your area, we should do a rant cast where it's just ripping Blizzard a new one for all the crap that they pulled.
If my internet line gets buried, because I have a feeling that my ISP isn't going to bury my line and the weather's going to get bad over here, and I'm just going to have it's going to fuck up the line over here. I'm going to have no internet again, and I'm going to have these assholes come out and fix my line in the middle of winter.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, brother. No, it's not internet, but I had tree roots growing in my sewer line.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell? Why are the toilets backing up? And it's like, oh shoot, there's like crabapple trees like growing so they got that all cleared out, thank goodness. So now everything is fine. But it was just like for a while I was like, what is happening? Yeah, so always fun, that kind of stuff.
Oh, hey, I got something else for you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Are you ready for Star Wars? Is everybody ready for Star Wars?
I love Star Wars! Yeah!
Here's some spoilers. So if you don't want to, you might want to take about, I don't know, 5 minutes.
Star Wars!
And come back to the stream in 5 minutes. But here you go. Here's some Star Wars for you.
Yeah, this is like that scene from Event Horizon where like he doesn't have any eyes anymore.
Here you go.
Where we're going, we won't need eyes to see.
Anakin.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He Vadered! He Vadered!
I don't.
Vader.
Trust me.
Yeah, it's like the video of that one dude that cries at every trailer, and then Pablo Hidalgo going too far.
Oh shit! Do you guys remember Anakin Skywalker? I do.
One is never too old.
Although I will give credit. Hayden Christensen does kick ass in this. Well,
You're
he really does.
shorter than I expected.
Master.
Live.
You will try.
Die.
And they did a better makeup job with him in here.
Yeah,
way better.
He doesn't look like an old guy saying, "Hey, fellow kids."
Guy's in his 40s and he still fights like a badass.
Yeah, they're like, see, that actual fight choreography that he learned from the master, still in him. Still doing the twirly thing.
The twirly thing.
The twirly thing, yeah, because it's like as soon as the prequel started, it was like, why are they doing all these twirly things? I mean, it looks cool, but it's just like it's a totally different style than,
Remember? Oh, and here's some Clone Wars stuff for you. Just having some Clone Wars flashback.
Ah, the fog! I remember the fog. Look at the. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, there's super cuts you can see like people like freaking out and overreacting, and then other people just mocking the hell out of them for their fake reaction.
Mock. I actually, like I said, this is some stuff that I could. Like I said, I'm picking and choosing.
I mean,
I actually
it's an entertainment. It's an entertainment genre itself, reaction videos.
They
like
even
when I watch
the time to like work on his hair to make his hair small, even though like I thought that was just a design choice from the CGI, but no.
Yeah.
They made, they took the time to make his hair shorter.
This was a CGI cartoon originally. It wasn't live action. And yeah, there's tons of CGI in it still. But yeah, they're trying to make it look. Yeah. Yeah, you don't see very many dead bodies.
Like what was it? Like Hammond said, they spared no expense.
Creation is an act of sheer will. Next time it'll be flawless.
battle's
Bed
not
no
over yet.
expense.
There are more separatist
We're all
droids
melting.
approaching.
Oh, they couldn't get Tamara Morrison.
More. Yeah. Was this during the
So,
writer's strike or
They're
the
all,
screen
they're
actor?
all wrapped up.
Can't actually say anything. I remember. I mean, I think the strike just ended, didn't it? With the
My fault.
Pretty
Hollywood
much.
strike.
They were following
Yeah,
my
but
orders.
like
War,
I'd be watching
so-
Star Trek: The Next Generation, and they'll be like,
As Jedi, it's our
you know,
job
Picard
to
would be on the bridge, like, ah,
That doesn't
Ensign
mean we don't
Johnson,
make
and he's like,
mistakes.
yes,
We
Captain,
must
and then
adjust
like,
to the times.
Ensign Stewart, and the guy just nods. It's like, okay, not a member of the Screen Actors Guild, can't say anything,
Is that
can't
all
have
I
any
can teach
lines.
my own Padawan one day?
Just like, gives him the
How to
thumbs
fight.
up. It's like, come on,
Teaching's
give the guy a
not
line, give him one line.
Really? What makes you say
Right.
that?
Yeah, anyway, they
I'm
got their
joking.
rules, they got their,
Listen, I'm teaching
Stuff.
you how to lead, how to survive.
well, I guess, I don't know how it's gonna turn out. I wasn't that
What if
invested
I
in it, but
stop fighting?
there's always people thinking it's going to backfire. Like, oh, okay, yes, here's your raise. You get all the benefits that you wanted. You get everything, and the next year, and you're all fired. Only make half as many movies. So that's actually like a child actor that they have, or did they
Yeah.
de-age her into a?
No, they.
baby?
What?
They de-aged her into a baby.
No. They get kind of lost in this. This is a.
Yeah,
it's
she
a
kind of.
pretty-
I mean,
it's a really nice
she
scene.
looks like a kid, like swinging lightsabers around. She doesn't look like the choreographed fighting that you see later. So okay, attention to detail.
I don't know this battle.
Snips.
This was the siege of Mandalore. We were parted ways by now.
You did well.
I can't remember who it was. Was it Nerdrotic? Is saying like, okay, everybody stop crossing your arms. Like that's all everybody does in the show is cross their arms.
All the knowledge I
But-
possess. We're part of a legacy.
I guess it was a thing that they did in the
My part of
cartoon,
that
so you had to
legacy
do
is
it.
one of death and war. You are more Anakin.
Someday I'll
But
be the
more
most powerful Jedi ever.
and
You
dangerous
watch your
than
mouth.
anyone realized.
You've learned nothing.
Don't say that.
I gave you a choice. Live.
Always
God.
crossing their arms. Those damn Jedi.
Well, you got the big sleeves. That's what you do. You know, that's like the monks would always do. You put the two sleeves together, keep your hands warm. It's the greatest. Put the cowl down. The cowl down. I can't even see how am I supposed to fight. Why are they fighting on the Rainbow Bridge floor?
Well, you're too busy making fun of it.
Time to die.
Yeah, I can't appreciate the quality. Trying. No more loose wire jokes.
Do or do not. There is no try.
I choose to live.
She chooses to live.
Oh, now suddenly he looks older.
It's because there's three different stages. She's in like a near death scene, I'm guessing, because he said like at the beginning
Okay.
while we were too busy bullshitting this thing
Yeah.
that he said that she had lost a battle. So I'm guessing that she's like near death or something. I don't know because I haven't watched the show, but like I saw
Yeah.
this
I mean,
scene
it's
and a
pretty.
couple other scenes. So
Every time I see this, I think it's pretty.
she's like imagining him pretty much, and like
Oh, yeah.
he's like pretty much her Grim Reaper, I'm guessing. So like he like fights her, and like he starts off like, you know, normal, and like takes her through her life, and then like when she points out the error, because she was fighting on the siege of Mandalore, which she never was. So, and then he like pulled out the red saber and he was like, okay, now it's time to die, because I gave you a choice. And then she was like, nah, I choose to live, bro. And now she's back, and that's it.
a
Anyway,
classic trope. Yeah.
so as you could tell with our next topic,
I hate everything.
I I like every time. You know, when we used to bring up Star Wars, it was passionate, it was fueled,
Yes. I was
and
like-
now it's just like you're like, oh fuck. God. Just yawning.
I mean, well, see, yeah, I don't know. I just can't bring myself, because I mean, I watched all of Kenobi, watched 2 seasons of Mandalorian. I watched almost 5 episodes of And I know it's a new show. I shouldn't judge it by what's come before, but it's just like,
Oh, come on, Ribby. Don't tell me you wouldn't like a Kid Fisto
Kid Fisto.
series.
Kid
I
Fisto is the
kind of dig
best.
it.
But yeah, they would ruin him.
They would not. I think they would have they'd have a thing. They'd kind of do it. I just don't think I don't know what they would do. What would they do with him?
Well, he's a blank slate. They could write anything they wanted. I know there's
Not
probably
really,
like
because
10 comics, 3 novels.
He was wasn't his home planet on see, now I can't remember. See, I've been away from Star Wars for so long.
I want to say he was like one of the Jedi where it's like the celibacy rule didn't apply to him because his planet had to like keep going, so like he had to have a ton of kids, so they just kind of like let him do that.
That's not even where I was coming from. I was trying to figure out where he was from.
Oh. He's from Planet Fisto.
Yep.
He's Kit. It's like George
Planet
Lucas has no imagination left.
Planet Fisto.
Planet Fisto. It's the best.
Wow, I feel awful because I should.
Of the fistulites.
I
Sounds like a horrible
from.
disease. It's like, see your doctor if you have these symptoms. Well, I just remember he force pushes the droid down and then he smiles with his big eyes, and then he gets killed by Palpatine. Yeah. It's time to get fisted. Oh man,
that's a great tagline. That's now going to be going to be every Star Wars joke ever. Fisto, a Star Wars story. This time, it's the Sith who get fisted. He comes back from the death. You know,
it's like his catchphrase, and everybody like cringes every time he says it. Just like, what?
So okay, it's Glee Aslam. See, because I always thought in the original Clone Wars series, like the cartoon, not the like CGI one.
Yeah, and he was on
Calamari. He was on Calamari. So I always thought like he was just native there for a while, and I can't remember. And I knew that was wrong at some point in time, so I was trying to look it up. But he was born on Glee Aslam. That was his planet.
Glee Aslan, yeah. Sounds like some like celebrity gossip reporter.
He was killed like a little bitch by Palpatine.
Yep.
So
yeah,
if you want to bring anybody back, don't bring back Mace Windu. Bring back Kit Fisto.
Mace Windu grabbed three like homeless guys off the street, handed them lightsabers, and then said, "Okay, let's go into Palpatine's office." Oh, we're loading. Oh no, we're back. We're back.
He gave it to Blit Nisto.
Yep. Well, I guess you're just supposed to think that, yeah, he used his dark side powers to like turn off the Force, like at an inopportune moment, and then they just stood there like a fool, like their internet connection glitched out, and then he like stabbed him.
He was just super fast. When I was watching it, like back in the day, he was just like super fast. So like the camera was trying to portray how fast he was, but since we could only do things, Ian
McDiarmid,
so actively,
they told him like very late in the development, oh yeah, you're gonna do a lightsaber scene. Like, really? Yep. So he didn't get as much practice with the choreographer like the other actors did.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
And yeah, they used CGI to speed it up.
Close-up scenes of him fighting. That guy was old even back then. I'm pretty sure all he did was grunt and thrust. Like, okay, but I mean, Ian, show us your best lightsaber attack, and he just goes.
Christopher Lee was older than he was, and he had a pretty convincing scene. But yeah, they used plenty of CGI.
Most of him was stunt doubles.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at that documentary, the only time he was holding a lightsaber was when he was doing a face shot. Like, when they were showing his face, and even then, most of the shots were wide-angle backup shots between him and Hayden, and, like, they were fighting because his stunt double had to go in during, like, the hardcore time. Like, when they were doing, like, all the twirly bits. And then, like, during, like, the dark, like, the part where...
the dialogue. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like, when, like, Anakin cuts the power and they do, like, the wavy, colorful lightsaber twirly thing, then they duck in on him, and all he would do is, like, just wave his hands around. Like, I'm not saying that Christopher Lee didn't do a great job as Dooku. I'm just saying, like, the guy's, like, he was, like, in his 70s or 80s?
He was, like, 81. Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying the way they pulled off the scene. Like, yeah, it's supposed to be maybe the fact that you're like, okay, this dumpy old guy is all of a sudden like growling and like flipping through the air. It's because like nobody expects it. It's like, oh, he's the dark side guy that's been hiding out in plain sight all this time, and
I
so the
wonder if
fact
he.
that it's disconcerting and weird is on purpose. But I did hear that they actually did. Yeah, originally he wasn't going to have a lightsaber scene, or they didn't tell him about it, and
Yeah, I wonder if
so
he had
it was kind of like crammed in.
used the Force to control his IBS or his his
That's
bad
why he was so
kidneys
angry.
or his
Yeah.
diabetes, or
Well, at the end, he just like.
Eh.
Well,
Don't
there's two
kill
ways to
me.
look at it. One,
I haven't had my
yeah.
pain pill.
Well, people, I remember when after Yoda has his fight scene in episode 2, it's like, and then he picks up the cane and he's like hobbling around. It's like that guy's just a fraud. He's just collecting that disability money, and he's just, it's like no. He really is like a really feeble old guy, but he's using the Force to like give himself superpowers and feel like he's a spring
Yeah,
chicken and he's
it's
Sonic the
taken a
Hedgehog.
lot out of him. He's all like,
Yeah.
like has to like, he stopped for
Like,
a worth
but
original.
I like the joke though that it's just like that it's an act that he pretends, oh, but really he's he's fit as a fiddle.
Drops.
He's just collecting that the Jedi pension.
Yeah, bro. That's it. That's all he's doing.
It'd be like Professor X. He's just wheeling himself around in his chair, and all of a sudden he just like gets up and like does a whole bunch of kung fu and like takes everybody out. Like what?
Also, just letting you know, because we're here for Ahsoka. Another big spoiler here for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so
because I've just got to do it. Of course, you would say Werther's originals are great. Elon Musk makes a special appearance, by the way.
In Ahsoka.
Yeah, check it out.
Oh great! You're banned from X.
What was first just a dream has become a frightening reality for those who may oppose us. Great mothers, I salute you. Soon we shall all
It's Grand
escape
Admiral
this
Musk.
exile Thanks to the efforts of
Is this a joke or this is a real thing?
No, for real.
It's really him.
They brought him back, which I knew
It's
they
like,
were
yeah,
going
you're
to.
gonna have electric self-driving speeder bikes from now on.
I mean, so just I don't know how long or how old Chiss become, but like because Thrawn was in Rebels, right? So
They live long enough to see themselves become the villain.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember how long it was between episode 3 and episode 6. I thought it was like it had to have been like 20 or 30 years. So I mean, I guess he could have gotten like pretty old, right? Because Thrawn was portrayed as a bony figure, right? Like very thin, very Peter Cushing-esque. So, but this guy has like, I don't know who plays him, but
he definitely has some Elon Musk vibes to him.
He does, doesn't he? Like I can't remember who the guy he's, but he really. At first, I thought they really was, and then like my biggest annoyance to Star Wars is they keep incorporating new fucking troopers in the middle of the of the trilogy. Like this is more acceptable because it's afterwards, but like.
But yeah, it's the gimmick. They always got to have a new action figure.
Like it's not going to appeal
It's
to
just like
anybody.
the other storm. It's just as useless as the previous stormtrooper, but he's got a cool looking helmet. That's different than the last cool looking helmet.
Which makes no fucking sense. And like people like I said, people are eating this shit up. But I don't understand the stormtrooper here. He's got like a Greek face.
Yeah. Well, and they can't make up their minds either. Is the stormtrooper just a generic uniform that like everybody in the galaxy wears? Or are they a special elite force of soldiers that are like meant to be special and important? It's like depends on the story. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. I mean, I can imagine Okay, tell me if I'm wrong about this, or maybe this has been retconned. In the original Star Wars, you remember that officer who's wearing black, and he, like, Vader sends him down to Tatooine, and
Mhm.
that's like supposed to be the strike force that kills uh, Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, who kills the Jawas and everything. Like, that guy, you never see him again. But people were saying, oh, he just puts a stormtrooper outfit on, so he's one of those stormtroopers. Is that what it is? Because that makes me think, oh, well,
No,
that's what
so
I mean. Stormtroopers
as
could be anybody, or it's just,
as
oh, he just sent those guys, and then
as
some
far
other
as I can
stormtroopers went.
tell, as far as I can tell, they are playing this scene to Hair the Empire, pretty much. So once again, they are ripping from the EU, and people like it. I guess people my age
Oh,
and up.
if they do it
Um,
right,
But well, that's what I'm saying is like so. And like I said, I'd have to look at it. I can't make and that's where I'm getting at to this subject, right? I'm saying I'm giving a breakdown and kind of a final thoughts on the breakdown because I'm gonna go ahead and watch this, and I'm like our next
mm,
rant cast together. I'm either gonna tell you whether I liked it or didn't like it. I'm not gonna break down into it too
nice.
much, but like the big thing is
That'll
just
be
my
great.
first impressions because like
Oh,
really at the end of the day I have had no interest in watching this and I have been
and
proven wrong before.
I feel like if you love it, I might tolerate it, and if you
I
hate it,
I
I'm
feel like
probably not gonna.
half of that is the fact that like you just choose not to like you get in there,
You
you
think
give
I
it that
set
second chance
myself
and
up?
you're sitting there and you're going ugh. Because like you
Like I can
literally
never
look
bring myself to just be like, this is actually good, and I'm enjoying this.
you look for the Disney in things. Like you're looking for it. Oh, it's Lars Mikkelsen? Like Mads Mikkelsen?
Really? Huh. Well, okay. I guess I could see that too now. Now that you mention it.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, under all
I
that makeup
could not tell.
transformation.
And
It's
yeah, he
Elon
does. He
Musk.
does. He does
Don't lie
still
to
have
me.
the. He does still have like the bony look in some scenes, so I can kind of see it.
Do you think he has prosthetic
Then they have another.
makeup?
They have another familiar face, because they have a guy named Balin Skull who is a villain as well, I believe. But the
Yeah.
biggest thing, um, for the biggest thing I could tell for this series is that there are good parts to it. I feel like the company, even though they still aren't trying to like big box everything, they are making improvements on certain things. Um, because
Well,
right
that's a
now
good
with
thing.
certain
And
people you can do no wrong, and some people you just can't do any right. Right?
I'm thinking I'm thinking about what you said, and I'm thinking like I think there is a bias that I have where, like, with the prequels, like, again, I didn't hate the prequels. I gave episode 1 the most guff of all of them, but I still put that in its own category, saying, well, at least this is what George Lucas wanted. Wasn't perfect, but this is what he wanted. So, like, I'll give him that. Whereas with Disney, I guess I'm very suspicious because I'm just like, yeah, their heart really isn't in this. It's just they're just chewing it up, spinning it out, trying to get money. On the other hand, you can still say, even though a certain two guys are not necessarily the savior of Star Wars, but it's like there are people that work in the company that do seem to care and are trying, and they have to deal with all that interference from above. So it's not entirely their fault if they don't succeed 100%. But yeah, they may be trying. The question is, do they succeed? And yeah, could I watch it and be like, that was actually a good episode. I actually like that. Or would I
Well,
just be like, nah, it's Disney. It all sucks. It's all terrible.
well, guess
Star Wars
who's
is dead.
you know guess who's doing Ahsoka? I mean, we went through this before. It's Dave Filoni, and so
The great Dave Filoni.
and I guess this scene, the Anakin scene, I guess was so popular it aired in a couple theaters. So
I've noticed that TV shows coming to theaters. It's weird, but I guess it's a great publicity thing. I mean, because with the digital theater, you can throw anything on the screen. I
Yep.
guess you got to still get the license fee or whatever. Yeah, Dave Filoni is the cowboy hat guy.
But I mean, that's kind of where I'm
And
going with it, right? Is it's one of those things where
John
we're
Favreau is
bringing back really popular
the glass
characters,
guy.
and they're trying to fit the
Yeah.
puzzle pieces together. And
No one's ever really gone.
no, but you know, like I said, it's
Well, I guess it's like in comic books. You have this beloved character. They give him a character arc. They die. That's it. But yeah, but can't we see him again? See him one more time? Like any excuse to bring him back? Like okay, sure. Here you go.
well, Thrawn is actually supposed to be
Enjoy.
in this part of the era anyway. Like,
Oh, so this is
Heir of the
not
Empire.
like they brought him back from the dead.
Well, Ahsoka takes place after Return of the Jedi.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, because it's like happening within a
If I
couple
remember
years.
right, it's like I can't remember if it's after the Mandalorian or prior
5 to
to.
7
I can't
years.
remember.
I forget. I get the
But
chronology goofed up in my head because I'm
It's-
thinking of like the events of Jedi Knight, Dark Forces 2,
yeah, it's
Heir to
supposed
the
to
Empire.
be. It's supposed to be around that time. So, if I remember correctly, because at the end of Rebels,
well, that's
they teased Ahsoka coming back
okay.
again.
Well, already that is higher in my mind because I thought they just brought him back from the dead, like it was just some BS thing. Like
Mhm.
that's where I was starting from. And so I was like, well, okay.
Yeah, no,
Well, but then the question is, how do they portray him? Because in the book, I mean, I
he's a tactician.
read the Thrawn, the Thrawn trilogy. Yeah, but he's kind of an eccentric too because he's like he studies the art of these cultures and he's like, this will give me insight on how to like fight them. It's like, why would that be true?
So
But
if there's
at least that's what he says. He's his eccentricities of this guy. But yeah,
there's-
he's like he wins battles and he's like actually good.
yeah, if there's
So
one
he's not
thing I
just
can
some
say,
blowhard that's like hiding behind Vader, cowering
if
behind Vader,
if there's one
like
thing
some
I
of these
can
other
say
generals.
about this is that they've probably got him pretty close.
Yeah, because I mean,
Like,
Grand Moff Tarkin was cool. Like he was a cool character. Most of the like Imperial officers and like generals and governors and everything that we see later are like chumps. Like they're bumbling like idiots or whatever, or they just get treated like trash. Whereas Grand Moff Tarkin was like kind of cool, and so it's like Thrawn is kind of like a return to that. Oh, and he's got blue skin. Well, and he's red eyes. He's an alien. Okay. So there's like a little side story. If I remember correctly, it was saying, well, the Empire didn't have like they thought humans were the best, and so like somebody like him would be out on some outpost or some like whatever. But then after the Death Star is destroyed, the Emperor dies. It's like, oh, here's his big chance to like come in and make his mark. And he was actually like really talented. It's like, okay, well that's could be an interesting like subplot if they still
so
have that. I don't know if they revised all that lore because I haven't followed it for a while.
if I remember
They
right,
had the
looking
other
at this,
Thrawn books.
the his story here is that he's coming back after a 9-year pretty much exile. Like he's been without resupply, and that's why his troops look all weird. Like they've got the red tape, they've got mismatched helmets and stuff like that.
It's been on their own.
So, his battle, even his starter story looks like weird. But he is,
Which is a great excuse for them to show like variations in those designs. But
well,
yeah,
and like
that's
I said,
cool.
he's coming in and he's very still calm, calculated, and his troops are still ready to get the job done. So they're not completely worn or his troops are in fighting condition and he's still business as usual. So he's there to still get a job done. And like I said, this is during the fall of the Empire. So like you've got a character that's ready to take up the throne, like in Heir to the Empire. It's somebody who's ready to take up the mantle. So, and yeah, pretty much. I don't know. I think of it as pretty close, but like I said, I have yet to see the full series. So, but how they're introducing him, I think is pretty as close as you can get. You know. Yes, and as Wardicon stated, Moff Tarkin was a very imposing figure.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, there was a reason he was in charge of the Death Star, even before all the Rogue One stuff. I mean, yeah. You think about like how Vader kind of just throws his weight around in the second movie, but in the first one, it's like he's just the Emperor's representative. He's got a couple of TIE fighter pilots under his command, but otherwise it's all Tarkin. Like, and he has those governors that are there. You know, the guy with, you know, it's like, oh, your Starfleet. So it's like these are big important guys on the Death Star, but yeah, Tarkin's in charge. He's a pretty big guy.
well, yeah, 'cause
And there were,
it was his plan, right? It was his
yeah,
deal.
there were other, but see, there were other, like, you're led to believe there's other figures like that throughout the galaxy. It's not just those guys in that one room, and oh, they all died, and so then the Empire's gone, and it's just Vader and the Emperor controlling some stormtroopers. It's like, no, there's a whole, like, every region has a Tarkin in it, you know, at least, and a small fleet. I mean, small bunch of Star Destroyers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they always, in the lore, they built it up that like, oh, 3 Star Destroyers could like devastate a planet. You know, that's all you need to like blockade most of these planets, because they didn't have, you know, planetary shields and big fleets and stuff. Not like Coruscant. Of course, they didn't have Coruscant yet, but I mean, whatever the capital planet was,
They had Coruscant back in the day. It just looked
they
really
called it
different.
something else. They called it Imperial City.
Yeah, but it was like dark and imposing. Oh man, hold on. I got a picture of that because it's in the that Star Wars game that I played. What was it?
Yeah, but Heir to the
What was
Empire, I
that?
think, was
What was that one that I tried Rebellion. It's in Rebellion.
Rebellion.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's like it
Well,
looks really different.
there was always an Imperial planet or a, you know, head of the Republic, whatever, but it didn't have that name until the Thrawn trilogy. And supposedly Lucas was like, "Oh, I like that. Oh, I'll use that." You know.
Are you sure? Because wasn't Rebellion before the Thrawn trilogy? Rebellion was like a really early game. I can't remember when Heir of the Empire was.
Okay, let's look it up.
Yeah, like
I want to
Coruscant
say
before the
90.
prequels.
Yeah, 91 was Heir to the Empire,
You might be right.
and Rebellion was. Let's see. Board Game Geek, was the board game first or the computer game?
I can't remember.
This is 2016. That can't. No.
Trying to see what it looked like. There were a couple like really old, and I'm
I
seeing
remember
like
the
older
PC game. I
pictures.
thought it
But
came out in the 90s. This is the Windows 95 game. Oh, okay. Rebellion, the computer game, was 98.
yeah,
Okay, so yeah, 91 versus 98.
let's see if I can find
So
it.
a lot of my understanding of Star Wars lore is not up to date. So I read the early script drafts. I read the novelizations of the movies. Yeah, the Timothy Zahn books. What's the guy's name? Kevin J. Anderson's books, like Crystal Star. You know, some of that's. I mean, yeah, it's covering stuff like in the first like 5 to 10 years after Return of the Jedi, and then you got the stuff in between like Lando Calrissian and Han Solo
It's
Adventures and Splinter of
really
the Mind's
hard
Eye.
to find an original picture because Coruscant now has been pretty much the same since the prequel days. But like before, it was like it looked more like castles than like round buildings. It
Yeah,
was very square and like
originally,
yeah, it was the Imperial City. Yeah, it was pretty
yeah,
much looked.
it was going to be before one of the originally Return of the Jedi was supposed to be the attack on the Imperial City, as opposed to attack on another Death Star. But they thought, oh, it's just too hard, too expensive. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah, but it was very. It was also mostly all black. Like Coruscant has a little bit of color to it, but it was very
Mhm.
dark and foreboding, and there was like a lot more sharper and square buildings because it was supposed to represent like an evil, like
Kind of like what we
city
saw
as
in Rise of Skywalker.
yeah, it was supposed to represent like more of an evil vibe than just like yeah. But I can't find a picture to save my life.
Yeah.
So
This is why I like tracking down the old Star Wars stuff from before.
I'm gonna have to
Not
pull it
just
out of the
before
rebellion
Disney, but
file. But
before the
I'm not gonna do that
prequel.
now. But
Yeah. Yeah, because I like to see like, yeah, how did it change?
yeah, I like there's older pictures of Coruscant like around the prequel time because it has
Mm.
changed a little bit more like in different
Yeah.
because
With
we've
that,
had different eras. But
do you remember that first picture? Like before Episode 1 came out, there was just one picture, and it was of the landing platform
yeah,
where they meet Chancellor Valorum, and it was just everyone was just like, "Oh my gosh, what is this?" You know,
yeah,
all the
because it was like
speculation to figure out.
it was like the teaser for episode 1, I believe.
Yeah. Yep.
If I remember
Just
right.
like here's this landing platform floating in the air above this massive city.
Or was that
The
for
Emperor was always
no?
like a
Yeah, it was for
figurehead.
episode 1. I remember.
Well, that's the weird thing about Star Wars because yeah, when you first are introduced to the Emperor, and even before that, when they talk about the Emperor, it just seems like, oh yeah, he's just some guy that they threw in charge, some corrupt politician.
Didn't they try to
But
do
then
that
it's
with
like, oh
episode 2
no,
as well? Like try to do like a weird teaser at Coruscant.
um, weird teaser. I'm not remembering what they did with that.
Let's see.
I think with episode 2, we, I mean, I remember the trailers, but I don't remember like a lot of the other. See, what
No,
I
you're
wanted at one time, I remember reading. So I have like the Art of Star Wars and the Art of Empire and the Art of Return of the Jedi. I loved those books. Like going over, looking at the early concept art, the script drafts, like the whole production phase of each of the movies. And like they re-released each of those books when the special editions came out, and I'm like, okay, I don't want that version because that's like the revisionist version, and like Lucas is going to pretend, oh, I always intended. So I wanted to see like, okay, what was it like? And they didn't really lie, but it was just still sort of like just seeing that pure version. But they made an art of Phantom Menace and I think Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. So you can get those books and see the sketches that they used. So like one of the things I remember, maybe you remember this too, for the Phantom Menace one, you know, it's Darth Maul, right? But they had like all the other Darths that they were thinking of, like Darth Hatred and Darth whatever, like all the different, like he had different makeup and like different, you know, there were all these like demonic looking guys, but it's like then they chose Darth Maul, and it was probably just Lucas like looking at a board going, oh, that one, you know, and it's like then they picked that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Return of the Jedi one has the concept art for the Emperor, and he looks much more like an alien. He doesn't look like he's got like really long fingers. He almost kind of looks like Snoke when you think about it. You know, it's the distorted face, the really long fingers, the really gray skin. But then he ended up looking much more human when we actually see him in Return of the Jedi. So I mean, some of the stuff like both Lucas did occasionally go back to earlier concepts, you know, because sometimes when he's saying, "Oh, I always intended," like he's just BSing. I feel like, and some of the Disney stuff they actually did go back. So like Vader's castle, that was a concept. Like we see in Rogue One, that was actually a thing. One of the ones I remember from Lucas's stuff is the weird like Little Shop of Horrors beak that they gave the Sarlacc. Like that was an original concept
Yeah.
from Return of the Jedi, but they're just like, nah, let's just make it look like a bodily orifice instead. It's like, okay, then we'll add the even more phallic looking beak.
Put it in the
That'll be
hole.
good.
Put it in the hole.
Yeah. So, but I'm just fascinated by that stuff. And I just remember whenever that stuff would come out, like I'd be discussing it with Star Wars fans, like on forums and stuff, and there'd always be like at least one person that's like, "Oh, that's not canon. I don't care about that." I'm like, dude, it's it's interesting because it's like this is where the thing you like came from. Like, why can't you
Posted a
appreciate it?
pic of the Thrawn trilogy on Discord.
They just want the finished product.
Oh.
That's it. They don't want to see the cutting room floor.
You just want
Thrawn trilogy.
results.
Yep.
Results. Oh man, I wish I still had those books. Those were some good books.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, I watched. I read those on one summer. Like I read all three of them because I'd seen them advertised. So I used to get, this is really dating me, but Omni magazine, which they mentioned in Jurassic Park. If you, it was a science magazine, but they'd always have like science fiction stuff, and it was filled with ads. So it was always just like, you sign up for the book club and you get 12 free books for a penny, and then you got to buy books for the rest of your life, all that stuff. But they would have advertisements for, oh, you thought Star Wars ended when the Death Star blew up? Wrong. And they would show, the Thrawn books, and it's like, well, that's interesting. And I thought, yeah, maybe someday I'll get around to it. And then it's just like,
Never gets
I
around
think,
to it.
well, I want to say a friend of mine in high school was like, oh yeah, I'm reading the new Star Wars books. They're really cool. So I was like, okay, well, maybe it's time. So I just they were cheap paperbacks, got all three of them. I was on vacation. I read them all. I was like, oh, that's pretty sweet. I wonder what else is out there, and so then you get addicted, and the rest is history. And it was a mixed bag. I mean, for a while I was trying, I thought that I could read all of it. And of course, I really should have been more discerning, like, okay, some of these books kind of suck and some of them are really good. So just focus on the good ones. But yeah, I ended up reading a lot of the crappy ones too. And after a while I'm like, yeah, that's probably enough.
All right. Well, last topic I've got, because I am running out of time.
Oh yeah. Well,
We've
these
got
2 hours have
some,
gone by like 90 minutes.
for real. Got some Cyberpunk talk, and people are saying it's been redeemed.
Whoa.
Super redeemed.
Keanu Reeves, no longer sad on a park bench. Now it's
No.
Idris Elba on a park bench.
So, I'm gonna see. I'm gonna try to find a good video here. I'm guessing
So
this might be good.
is this
Hold on.
out now, or is this coming out?
No,
Well,
this is
people
out
are
now.
saying it's redeemed. It's out now.
I'd play it myself, but I'm trying to see if I can find like a good comparison video. Let's see. That way I can like
Here's a link.
show people what the.
Oh, that's just the promotional website.
Details and physics comparisons. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find a good. Because I'm gonna see if I caught any of these. We'll see if it's got.
Man, my feed.
Okay.
Kevin Smith, He-Man returns, and nobody cares.
Wow, bro.
Dang.
Okay,
bro.
this is credits to Game Best for being the best game. Game Best. I don't know. We're gonna show you some of the differences. So when Cyberpunk 2077 released,
Oh, you found it.
Yeah, it was in pretty rough shape.
Redeemed. Oh wow.
So they say some of these might be a tad bit inaccurate, because I believe V's car has never changed from
Pretty
release. But we're gonna show you what they have, and then I'll kind of point out if there's any major differences that I didn't catch.
Is that Game Best you're looking at?
Yeah, and then I'll show it here on screen here in a minute. I'm trying to see what this is from, because he doesn't say if this is PC or console. So a lot of this might be PC or console differences too. And I played the game on PC, so like I said, the console version might have had a different call. Yeah, well, no, it's patch 2.0, and then there's a DLC that you can buy. Either way, you're still getting patch 2.0. So you don't have to have Phantom Liberty to get the 2.0 patch.
Yeah. See, I've my only exposure to this video game is watching your streams. I mean, I've played the board game, Cyberpunk Red, but not this.
So, like I said, here it looks like the cars are different, but I feel like V's car has not changed since. So, could be wrong, but pretty sure. And this is going to be a pretty detailed comparison.
Oh, did we say this? Mike Pondsmith is the author of the original game.
He is. I thought it was
Cyberpunk
Ponus,
20.
so there you go. So yeah,
Pondsmith.
patch 2.0, you can actually use weapons, because in the game, even during release, they always advertise that you can pull your weapon out in a vehicle, and you could not pull a weapon out in the vehicle.
Brings me back to Jedi Academy, riding the speeder bike and whipping your lightsaber out and cutting somebody down as you drive by. Okay, so there's little splash effects for the bullets in the water.
I don't know if water physics was, I don't know if that was just added in 2.0, but I could be wrong. So,
you should be able to dive into the water to escape the bullets.
But like, so that's how incomplete this game was at release. This game had some major issues.
Oh, okay. So that's why people were giving it a hard time. Because I guess I didn't see it until later, and I was like, it looks fine to me. But yeah, I do remember people complaining. Well,
and it got to the point to where like some cars weren't even like you couldn't get like you'd see people driving, like the cars that were driving on the road didn't have people in them. It was so bad. Why do I have an ad?
Game.
Self-driving cars.
Oh shit! I have the wrong thing. Oops, my bad. Sorry, guys.
You didn't. You mean you don't have YouTube Red?
No, I don't have YouTube Red. Hold on, give me a minute.
This is not a promotion for YouTube Red. I don't see ads on YouTube. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Oh, do you pay for it? Do you?
No.
We're going back. Hold on. Give me a second.
Back the planet.
Sorry. I got hit with an ad. I thought at first that I did not have an ad, but I did. So you cannot jump out of moving cars. Well, it's a lot better than just
there must be great
down.
butt physics in this game, because like I search Cyberpunk and then just like all these like butts. Like what?
The game is very yeah.
Bootylicious.
It's very sexual oriented. Swimming.
Yes. You can still choose the size of your unit.
Yeah.
Finally.
I see now. I haven't noticed much of a difference in the swimming. It still looks pretty glitchy to me. But
yeah, when you get on the surface, it looks weird.
Oh yeah, look at your shadow. It's super bad.
Video games have come a long way. I still remember this swimming through those water tunnels in Dark Forces 2. I was like, man, this is awesome. I still love it. You know, the little hand going by, treading water. Whoa, really? Ribby says Cyberpunk is the first and only game I returned on Steam. So I didn't know you could even return games. Wardcon says I found them at thrift shop around mid-2000s. Oh yeah, for the Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah, Ribby. It still has its glitches even in 2.0. I don't think they'll ever get it fully fixed, but it is a lot better and much more playable.
This is like a movie budget game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just they were heavily rushed, and like I said, this is when the game was supposed to be projected to be released.
So if you were holding out, now you can play the game and it's a lot better, or a lot more complete of what they expected. Hey, eyes up here, buddy. I could tell from day one the fundamentals were poo and couldn't be fixed, but whatever.
Oh, they overhauled a lot of the game now.
Ribby's remarkable rants. See, it still works. Ribby's righteous rage.
I said I usually try to pay attention to a lot of games that they try to do some work on.
I'm gonna go to work on this bot here.
But
smaller stream Discord.
At least for me, it's been been a thing. Marketing lies.
Mercy.
I'll see. Like I don't follow.
Mercy.
I have never followed any of that stuff. So.
What is this? They Live or something? Consume. Oh, it's GTA 7.
The only thing they got me on was they told me they were releasing it in November and then had to push it back to like December, I think it was. I think they had to push it back like a month.
You should break a nail. Well, they're cyber nails.
But like I said, I've enjoyed this game for a little while, and like I said, I had the PC version when it first came out, so
Yes.
I didn't.
Thank you, Ribby.
I didn't get
Thank
too
you.
many
Obey,
issues.
consume.
But like this guy's had some really big issues. Yes.
Yep. There's certain things that whenever I play a new game, I always just try to see like what I can do. Like if you give me a machine gun, I'm gonna try to write my name in bullets on the wall. Like and that's a big thing for me, like in a game. So how well you pull that off says a lot about your game, in my view.
Oh, just by shooting the wall?
Yep. Like how well your bullet signature.
See, the big thing about this was when this game released, when it first released, there were pedestrians and cars. Then they updated it a couple times,
Oh, wow.
and then there weren't any pedestrians in the cars. They broke.
Oh,
Like it was just automated cars
Empty.
for a long time.
empty cars. Like yeah, go pick me up some milk, car.
So they had to
Optimus
fix that.
Prime.
Like I said, it's just I don't
what's
blame
happening?
Ruby for not wanting to get this game. It broke a lot of things for a lot of people.
You get it? You go up to the NPC, they're like, what's happening? I know nothing. Like from Jedi Knight.
Murder!
That's one less rebel. You're just crazy person running down the street with your pistol shooting cars. They're like, get out of the way! You crazy freak. Freak. Crazy. Are you homelesses? Just run you over.
Now move along.
Yeah. Well, as opposed to them just letting you like walk all over them, they actually try to react.
Yeah.
You're in violation of Imperial law.
Well, not to mention this guy's been pointing out the optimization issues. Like there was a lot of optimization issues. Game was like laggy
man.
at times with certain cards. It had
It's
some,
like
some
stormtrooper accuracy.
big
Yeah.
issues.
But see, this was the thing back in the day, like when they would show you games, like they show you screenshots or they show you like a little clip, and it looks great. But yeah, when you're actually like trying to do stuff in the game and going,
no.
oh,
I think what
like,
Ribby's
applause.
talking about is they made a vertical slice of the game that was not true to what they gave away.
okay.
So like for example, the render distance. Oof.
Whoa.
Yeah.
This is the release version.
This might have been console.
Blast the hippie kid.
Because
stay
I
off
never
the
had
street.
this. I never had this happen. So, and I still don't have this happen. The render distance is that bad.
Yeah, where's
Usually
the
it's like,
smog? This is like the cleanest city ever.
well, there's usually depth of field, so I don't know what he's experiencing that has really bad render, because that's really bad render distance. It's like JPEG levels.
See,
Bad.
like his settings are weird or something.
But yeah, I don't know. And that's what I'm saying is like a lot of these people who are doing comparisons, they're not stating where this is on. But and he's not stating the fact the skill tree was completely rewritten. They did a whole bunch of different stuff. Like it's
Cyberpunk.
weapons
See,
were
I'd
redone.
probably like the computer game because I'm just thinking how complex the the board game is. And like if it does all that for you, it's kind of like, oh, now you can just enjoy the game. But to be fair, as a HeroQuest player, I know you can take any game and you can just, if you want to dumb it down, you can dumb it down. No one's gonna stop you. And I think the creator even had something to say about that. It's like he wanted to be able to put all those options in there if you wanted it. So if you want to know how the wind speed is going to affect your bullets and all that stuff, you can do that, but you don't have to. And they simplified the combat in Cyberpunk Red and all that stuff. So if you prefer it one way, you can do it that way. If you want to do it the other way, I mean, I get it. You make a game, you want to have like a complete package that you can just pick up and play, but people are going to tinker with it and they're going to find their sweet spot. In a video game, it's a little harder because, like, yeah, you can have settings, but it's pretty much all self-contained. Unless you make a mod, right? Do they have mods for Cyberpunk?
They do. In fact, CD Projekt Red addressed a lot to the modding community, so you actually have like pretty decent mods for the game. For 2.0, they said until the patches get adjusted for certain mods, they ask people to disable the mods, just so it doesn't break the game. But
yeah, cool. Yeah, I love mods just in their ability to, yeah, they expand the longevity of the game. And to me, like if I see a game that I'm already kind of on the fence about or I'm interested in buying, but I see it has like a ton of like free content, like for mods, that makes me more likely to buy a game because I'm like, oh, sweet, I can, immediately dump all that stuff in if I want to. Like that's a big draw.
oh yeah, and
So
another big thing about this game was like when you put cyberware on, it actually not only shows, but there's just I don't know, there's a lot of like different big things with how they addressed.
Are you talking about like when you go into cyberspace?
No, for Cyberpunk, like getting your cyberware installed, like things for your hands.
Oh, cyberware.
Face.
Yeah, your enhancements. Well, one thing I'm curious about, so in Cyberpunk Red, and they address the difference between that and like the original board game, like the way you hack stuff in cyberspace is like obviously not the same as how the internet actually is, but it's like you go into a whole nother realm. It's almost like another game where like the hacker character is like going through it. So how do they handle that in the video game, I wonder? Or did they just have you like hack a control panel or something and then move on? Like I'm almost imagining like Deus Ex where you
like,
just...
What do you mean? Like how they handled netrunners and stuff?
Netrunners, yeah, I couldn't think of the name. Yeah, you interface with computers and you do quasi-magical technological stuff.
You have implants that you use for net running. And the thing that they did with 2.0 is you don't have to have those. They have two different sets. Like my character doesn't have net running implants because I'm not a net runner. I have like something that just helps me slow down time for faster reflexes. And then I have different cyberware implants for that. So you don't have to, like in the original release, you were kind of stuck with those. Now they add different things you can do. Different options. Like I like to specialize in pistols, so now I'm kind of like a stealth ninja. Like they have it so where like literally the new game allows you to like where you can pretty much hop buildings and like one shot people in the head with pistols if you master a lot of those skill sets. And
everybody misses their first jump. It's like the Matrix.
Or you can pretty much like there's certain things you can do, like you can still talk your way out of a situation or never fire a shot in certain like areas. So it's kind of nice.
Makes me think a lot of Deus Ex, but then Deus Ex was probably inspired a lot by the original Cyberpunk stuff. Thinking of a lot of those things. Well, I just wondered, like, yeah, if you were a net runner, so maybe you haven't really dabbled in that too much, but if you if you start net running, do you appear in this alternate dimension, or does it just not show that stuff?
There is an alternate dimension
I guess I
in
could
the
find
game. There's like the black wall and
find a
stuff, but I don't know.
video
It's
of it.
kind of like hard to talk about because it's like as far as your
You have
net
to-
running goes, yeah, you go into a certain mode and then you can hack things, but they
No
do
one can tell
offer
you what
that
the
alternate
Matrix
area.
is. No one can tell you what the Matrix is. You got to see it for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, net running, ultimate stealth, overdrive, the net runner experience. Oh, okay. So here's a video about it.
Okay.
This guy's critical of it. Net running is positively broken. But yeah, like the graphics change. So you'll be like looking at something and you see like this code and stuff. Other colors, there's like a different HUD.
Yeah. That's how it goes.
All right, so it's time we take a look.
And we're gonna mute him. But yeah, that's pretty much how this is.
Audio jungle.
Being a netrunner is pretty much. It's supposed to be mostly stealthy, but like how the update came out, like if you mix it with different skills, it can be pretty. Yeah, you can be pretty broken.
It makes me think of how some other games handle like magic, except it's a technology.
Like and like I said, some of these people are like this guy's level 50 though. Keep that in mind. This guy's like max level.
Okay.
So who knows
Over
what he
the top.
put into his skills either. And if you update the game on a previous save, it can break a fuck ton of shit.
Okay, so you get glitches and things.
Or like messes with the skill system because like I said, they redid the entire skill system and how everything was done. So hopefully this guy restarted. So like I said, like skills, how you had skills set up.
Sorry, I just want to say this. I know we're going back to an earlier topic, but apparently Epic just laid off 900 of their employees.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's connected to the Fortnite thing, but anyway.
It might be. Although, you know, Epic CEO makes a fuck ton of money. Don't know why he's not sacrificing any of that. Has to lay off employees. That's 800 people know how to find new jobs. So
yeah, captains don't go down with ships anymore.
Good on you. Congratulations for being a complete asshole. I wonder how much you make, Epic Games.
Was it worth it?
Tim Sweeney. Bet you make more than enough money. You 52-year-old asshole.
Tim Sweeney. Wow, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Long time.
It's easier to lay off one motherfucker than it is 800 motherfuckers, but we do it anyway.
Credit for the Unreal.
$4.1 billion.
Credit for the Unreal Engine, but yeah, doesn't mean you can't do crappy things too.
Amazing. The guy's probably smart enough to pick up another job, but once again, we're 16%. Laid off 16%.
Yeah, it makes me think of other corporate scandals.
It was more than just him too. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tron may have been the beginning of the Matrix. Some way today's AI will predate the actual Skynet. I don't like to think about those things. Oh yeah, and this guy's fighting Max Tac too. Yeah, he's like at level 50 though. Max Tac shouldn't even be a problem. That's crazy. Because he just re-healed himself. Like, Max Tac does a fuck ton of damage when they hit you. Like, look how much health he's losing. But every time he hits them, he's got health bonuses. So he just regains half of it back. Or more than half of it back.
He's a superhero.
And that's what I'm saying is, like, a lot... Like, Max Tac is rough.
He's a demigod.
like I think in this game, the update too, like you can actually become a cyber psycho when you reach like 5 stars. They classify you because you're just wanton murder. So they call you a cyber psycho and they send max tac after you, which are like pretty much special forces units. And that's who he's trying to fight right now. And he's like super decked out.
Yeah. I'm not sure which science fiction actually created the idea of cyberspace and virtual worlds. I'm sure it wasn't Tron. I'm sure Tron just happens to be one that was mainstream. You know, you
It's
get a
probably
Disney film.
developed a little bit since, because those are
But
early days
it was
of
in like
computers and all that.
novels. Yeah, it was in novels and comic books and things like that way before like the 80s. But yeah, that was kind of the heyday. I'm not sure what the first one was. But yeah, it's certainly much cooler if you can show it on screen than just in your imagination. Yeah, it's the idea that you'd create a secondary world where you could do stuff and you could just like jack into it.
Well,
Yeah, like the Matrix.
with that, I'm sorry to say, I have to pack it in.
All right.
But
yeah, well, it's been fun. I'm getting my voice back. I can say
you are. See, it's good that we do these rant casts every now and then.
See, it got a little scratchy there, but yeah, I can kind of do it. Noise. It's not just the noise canceling thing. But yeah, so it's not all bad in the world of games and movies. I mean, it sucks for some people, and
like I said,
yeah.
if you die on that hill to where you'll never try again, like I said with Rippy and Cyberpunk, it's understandable.
Yeah, but I am glad to hear that there's still people out there that care, that are trying to create good products, that are trying to, show their art out there, and I hope they get a fair shake. And yeah, support the stuff that you like, that, you can support the creators that are doing the right thing. Yeah, thanks, Wordicon.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for supporting us. We're slowly growing, and we're always having a good time. Ripping the industry a new one.
Yeah, I always like ranting, even if it like borderlines on the edge of getting me banned. So
banned.
I have no problem calling somebody a huge asshole. So, but yeah, with that,
all opinions of the Rantcast are represented by the disclaimer and Audio Jungle. I'm kidding.
But
no, the Rantcast is for ranting. That's what we do, and we're going to talk about the good stuff, and we're going to talk about the bad stuff. And unfortunately, sometimes there's a lot of bad stuff, but it's therapeutic. And honestly, these companies need to be called to task when they screw up. If whatever we let them get away with, it's just going to keep piling on.
They're always going to screw up. They're like children. So
yeah.
And what do you do with a child that misbehaves? You scold them. So, like I said, all adults are we're still just children that run around sometimes. We just know a little bit more than our actual children, I feel. So, and what happens with rich people like that is they start losing their inhibition for responsibility and start trying to find the easy way to complacency and other bullshit. So, I literally just tell myself that, I'm always going to give people like that shit. Because if you're sitting in a chair that high up, you should be able to take care of your business and take care of your employees. And granted, layoffs are going to happen. Shit's going to happen. But the way we handle our business model today is unacceptable. It's unforgivable and it's unacceptable. And you can give me a 30-minute line of bullshit that consists of your reports, your business model, how you hit the red line for 2 seconds and you had to save face and all that stuff. But to me, it's all just bullshit, because people have done it 30-40 years in the past where they've cut costs, they've cut other things from the people, and the people have come last, or at least second to last. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't be laying people off, but what I'm saying is that 16% of people, it's a lot of fucking slack. and it's ridiculous. But with that note, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off there. I am Josh, also known as the StrangeBus. I will probably do a small stream tonight, maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
But you can find me at twitch.tv/TheStrangeBus. And once again, we are joined by the main host of the Rantcast, the one, the only, Kurgan, also known as HeroQuest Fans. And once again, you can find him at twitch.tv/HeroQuest Fans. That is twitch.tv/HeroQuest Fans. And should be back next week. I don't think I'm going anywhere. So,
no. Well, we're both on Discord. You got the Bussa Discord. I got HeroQuest Fans Discord.
That's right.
Actually, I will be out next week. Now, this weekend I am streaming HeroQuest Fans Friday and Saturday, Mage of the Mirror, Rise of the Dread Moon. But October 6th and 7th, I will be out hiking with my family. So I won't be streaming, but you'll be around. So sorry, I'll have to bail on you. You'll have to do the Rantcast without me.
Okay.
Or I mean, if you do, I mean, I know you got your schedule too. So,
we'll
but it's
see what
always a
happens.
blast. I always enjoy it. You know.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Well,
thanks for joining us on the Rantcast. Yeah.
Indeed. Have a good night, everybody, and take care.
Be excellent to each other, as someone once said. All right, let's get that Karl Casey. White bad audio.